2025. I think this year's gone pretty quick. For me, it's not a great year. Health issues, they're amazing. They're not amazing, but this year has flown by. Overall, how's 2025 been for you, Mr. Miller?
In the nicest way possible, and I'll try and keep back the swears as much as I possibly can. It fucking sucked. So I'll just leave it at that.
Nobody told us this stuff when we were kids. Oh, by the way, when you're older, you'll wake up in the morning. Your first thought will be, "Guess what's going to break today? What's going to break today? How do I feel today?" It's a pain in the flipping neck. And some people probably have pains in the neck.
Yep.
So I have pains in the bladder.
And I have a pain in my back currently and my legs. So
we're gonna. This will be the episode of squirming.
Oh yeah, I'm always squirming around anyway. So
I'll put some background music on, so it just looks like we're just like everything is awesome or something.
They won't believe it. They can see the pain and anguish in our faces. So that's the thing. That's the thing about recording a video podcast and going live as well. People can actually directly see us and see the pain and anguish.
Yeah. So we're going to go through some stuff that we've watched, or rather some stuff that you've watched, and then we're going to delve into the best things of the year, and then you, as always, have a worst things of the year list.
I do indeed. It's going to be
like a wrap up of 2025. So what have you watched? Have you watched? I've slowed down at the minute because I'm like, well, my top 10 list is finalized. I'm good. I'm all right with that. So I'm just shelving everything other than some rewatches, I think, for old movies.
Yeah, my top 10 list was not finalized properly until this morning. So because I didn't expect me to still be watching films, like a lot of films, up to the end of the year, yet I've still carried on watching films up until the end of the year. Like even beyond this, there is still obviously time left in the year, and there are still a couple of films coming out that, well, one specifically, that Marty Supreme, the new Timothée Chalamet one. That one's coming out on Boxing Day. So from what I've heard, it's a chaotic insanity of a film, directed by one of the Safdie brothers. So I'm slightly intrigued by it. So I've got that film to watch because I've yet to see it, because it's obviously out here on Boxing Day. So I've still carried on watching films.
I usually do, but then I quite like having a break. Going, I'm good. I'm just going to sit and play video games, which I have been doing a little bit of.
I've been doing that as well.
Yeah,
but just trying to try to get to an even number at the end of the year, because currently I'm on 178 new films watched in 2025. So if I end the year on 180, I'll be happy, because it's a rounded off number.
See, I broke my numbers down, so I know you do it differently, where if you watch a film you've seen before, it doesn't at all. Mine does. So I've watched this year 172 films, but then I'm kind of curious how many of those films I've seen before. So I went through the spreadsheet and I counted them all up. Out of the 172 films that I've seen this year, 74 of them have been films that I've seen previously. 98 were new viewings. And then I even was curious about how many films I've watched that came out this year. 43. That's not a lot, but,
yeah.
I'm all right with that. So it's quite easy to get my top 10, sort of.
Whereas mine is 178 new films, so 178 films that were only released in 2025. And if you count the rewatches, I rewatched 2. So I'm on 180 then, if that's the case, because the 2 I watched was A Nightmare on Elm Street and Alien, both in cinemas for the first time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was watching a TikTok video, because a friend of mine, he sort of like does something similar with music as I do with movies. Obviously, he hasn't listened to 178 different albums this year, but he listens to more albums than I do. And I was watching a TikTok video where this guy said he watched 400 films this year. And out of the 400 films, 4 of those films, he gave a full 5 out of 5 to. Prior year, he said he watched just over 600 films, so he must easily watch a couple of films a day. Wow. But yeah, and then as soon as he said, in a way, sort of like it was like a gloating tone. Like, it shows you how high my standards are if I've only rated 4 films out of 400, 5 out of 5. And then my brain went, I must have even have worse standards than you. I've watched 178 new films this year, and I gave 0 films 5 out of 5.
Zero, nothing. You've not seen anything this year that's like, that is amazing, and that would go in my all-time list.
0 films out of the 178 films I've seen this year, I gave 5 out of 5 to.
Oh, you got to change the sort of films you watch, I think.
So
or just lower your standards a little bit. I don't know.
There is only one film that I gave a 4.5 to, and that obviously is my movie of the year. The
Yeah,
rest
so
of the films
we'll
in
ask
my
what that one is yet, but yeah.
the rest of the films in my top 10, I gave 4 to, but I think 4 is very high.
I think nowadays, though, and I've had this, we've probably had this conversation before, and I know I've had it with other people, where most films that come out nowadays, I watch, I enjoy, they're fine. They're not like, wow, I really enjoyed that film. There's a few. There's maybe only a couple a year where it's like, I really like that film. Everything else is
Yep.
like, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. Will I watch it again? I might, but I might not.
Whereas last year I gave 2 films 5 out of 5. So last year I gave 2 films 5 out of 5. This year I've given 0 films 5 out of 5.
There's still time. Go on, Marty Supreme and Avatar, Fire and Ash.
I've already seen Avatar.
I'll be already. Do you know what? I hope Avatar makes a fortune, genuinely, but I'm not going to watch it because I can't get through the second one. It's just too digitally, animating for my style. Even though I've been told it's really good, I've tried like 3 times. At some point, I will sit down and go, right, let's just plow and watch these 3 films. But yeah, I'm happy to skip it, but I hope it makes a fortune.
I'll get onto my thoughts in regards to Avatar a tiny little bit later on. But yeah, you know how I feel about the Avatar series anyway. So, but I always go into a film completely open-minded, hoping I do get proved wrong. It does happen sometimes. Most of the time, I'm proven right. So, not to boast again.
So what have you watched? What have you got before we plow into our best and worst of the year?
Before going into the film side of things, just 2 TV series to mention. The obvious one is Stranger Things Chapter 5 or Season 5, whichever way you actually want to see it. So I watched the first bulk of the first episode, so 4 episodes. 3 episodes drop on Christmas Eve. The final episode drops on New Year's Eve. So I watched the four episodes, intending just to watch one of them, like one, and then maybe one a couple of days later. I watched them all in one go.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yeah, and I can see why they actually released them in chunks like that, because you never get spoilers from me. At the end of episode 4, it's a cliffhanger episode, which you never normally get sort of like midway through. You might get it midway through a season, but not the way when it's split up like this. And so it's a cliffhanger episode, which perfectly leads you into the next 3 episodes. So yeah, it is Stranger Things. If you know what Stranger Things is, you know what to expect from it. On a bigger scale, because it feels like they've
certainly,
Netflix has thrown a bigger budget at the Duffer Brothers, so for that one. And I finished off watching Welcome to Derry, the TV series. So I watched all the 8 episodes of that, with all the Easter eggs and things like that in the final episode. So it was fine. Again, my biggest misgiving in regards to that season was the amount of CGI. It was badly CGI'd at times. So it's not going to age very well, in my opinion, in some episodes, specifically the scene in the graveyard.
Yes.
That was CGI. That was bad CGI, in my opinion. And some of the Pennywise mutations, when you do actually finally get to see him, some of the mutations, again, was heavily CGI'd. But like with the original miniseries and the Andy Muschietti 2 films, the savior of it are the performances of, again, the young actors. Because there's one character I felt in the TV series who I thought I'm going to really hate. It was not very nice to a couple of characters for a couple of episodes, and then she turned around, and I thought the way that actress handled that was just brilliant. So I thought all the children actors in that TV series were really, really good. Were very strong. It's just like I said, the CGI was a bit off for me.
And I think what was one of the really good things about Welcome to Derry is kind of all bets are off when you're watching it. So even from the pilot, you're like, oh, this is who we're going to follow, is it? And you're like, yeah, not necessarily. And there was a few of those sort of things where it's like, oh, they went there. Okay, fair enough. All bets are off in Derry, I guess.
Yeah, and the smartest thing about it is as well is that Machete hammered home the fact that Pennywise is not the embodiment of it.
Yeah.
It can be anything your nightmare can create. And that was the whole point of Stephen King's creation of Pennywise the Clown. It was a manifestation of his nightmares, as is a lot of his films. A Pet Cemetery, for example, is when he got bit by a dog. That's where the idea from Pet Cemetery came into the equation. Stand By Me with the body. That was what it was like with his friends, which again we'll probably get onto Rob Reiner in a couple of moments' time. But that was his embodiment of his childhood. So a lot of these films are autobiographical about what his life was like, and it was again his embodiment of what his nightmares were as a child. And so Machete was able to actually use a wider palette to create very malevolent nastiness in some episodes, specifically the pregnancy one. That was a bit, you can see why that was rated 18, and you can see why the distribution company just went, no, you can't include this in the film. And yeah, give Machete a chance to explore the nastiness of the book, because the book is very dark. It's more darker than I would even say the TV series, the book with a couple of characters. So it was nice for him to be able to explore that. And there's 2 more seasons to come. And the next season supposedly is going to drop in 2027. And it's
that would have been my guess, because it's like HBO tend to do this 2-year because of the cost and the production and stuff. So.
It's set in a timeline beginning in 1935, and supposedly this 3rd season is set in a timeline beginning around about 1905.
Right. So they're going to keep going back rather than backing in forward.
Well, what happened in episode 8?
Yeah.
You saw like that was straddling 2 different timelines. It was going back because they've already explored what's happened forward, what's happened present day. They've already done that, so they don't need to do that again, because again that could have been a pitfall. So again, Machete thought smartly there and went, you know what, let's explore back, because in this one we saw more of the story of Pennywise the dancing clown and what he was like as a human being with his child, and then how he became, well, you didn't exactly see how he became it, but you heard noises and things like that. So then you can go back even further, and you might not even get a lot of Pennywise, the dancing clown, in the next season, because we've already explored that. So we still might see him, Pennywise, but it might not be, you might be able to explore something else on how it manifested itself in the 30s and in the noughties. So we'll see how it handles. But I thought it was fine.
A couple of years. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was, it's one of those series where you hear that they're going to make one. You're like, why? Why are you doing that? And then you watch it and you go, I'm kind of glad that you did make it, because I enjoyed it.
It was sort of like my thoughts with Alien Earth, but I really didn't like the last episode of Alien Earth.
I watched it yet. It's just like, for some reason, it's like, I don't feel I have to watch it. I probably will at some point, but I'm like, plenty of other stuff to watch.
The first couple of episodes are fantastic. The first episode especially is fantastic, and then it has a lull in the middle for 2 episodes, and then the one that is set solely on a spaceship, on a ship itself, is brilliant. It reminds you of watching Alien and Aliens, and unfortunately dropped the ball with the last episode because there's just not enough in it. So it should have been, the episode prior should have been the final episode, and they should have extended it. Right. Made it like an hour and a half rather than split it into 2 episodes. So yeah, that's something for you to watch then over the holiday period. Alien Earth.
You've watched some TV, because you never normally watch television, so it's a landmark year for you.
And then when Stranger Things finishes in 2026, I'll have no TV to watch. So I'll be watching no TV until 2027, when the next series of Alien Earth and Welcome to Derry actually shows up. So
The Last of Us will be 2027 as well, won't it?
Yeah.
So it's take
So
next year off TV. It's fine. Skip it.
yeah, unless something catches my eye, like for example the Hellraiser series, unless that surfaces, because the game's coming out next year, and so there is supposed to be a Hellraiser series at HBO. So unless that surfaces, and the slight little mutterings and murmurings of a potential Nightmare on Elm Street TV series, and if they pull the finger at their arse with the Friday the 13th TV series as well.
Yeah, I was going to say there's supposed to be
Um,
a Crystal Lake series, isn't there? That's just who knows
yeah,
what.
so we'll see. But next year might be more movies again,
May
which
well
is no
be.
surprise.
So what have you got? What have you
Um,
watched movie wise then?
I've seen more than just the six that I've wrote down, but I just thought the other ones are just passing by kind of films that I watched. Like, for example, Horror in the High Desert 4, Majesty. It's a series that pretty much nobody has heard of, the Horror in the High Desert series. So I've seen the fourth one and that. I've seen all three. It's just like the Blackwell Ghost series. You see that, people go, what? And the Blackwell Ghost series has 8 films in the series. So
Wow, I've
um,
never heard of them.
yep. So film wise, to mention the sequel to Sisu. So I've
Oh,
got
I really
Sisu
want.
Road to Revenge.
I want to watch that so much. Yeah.
And the best way to sort of like describe Sisu Road to Revenge is very similar if you go from Alien to Aliens. You know how
Wow.
they ramped up the
Okay.
action in Aliens compared to Alien, and even
Yeah.
though in Sisu there was a ton of action, in this
Really.
one they just go, well, we'll have an opening to give you a tiny little bit of a setup. Sisu, he's decided to go back to his old home to try and collect what's left of his old home to rebuild the house somewhere else. That's the basic setup. So we'll give you that setup in the first 10 minutes. And then after that 10 minutes, you just go, you know what? Here's a grenade. There's the pin out of it. Let's go mad. And
Brilliant.
that's pretty much it. It's just for about 75 minutes of the film, it just never relents with action. It's just nothing but action.
That's what I want from
Um,
a Sisu sequel. I really do.
yeah,
I love the
it's
first one.
it's it's from the director of Exports, which Christmas movie, one of my favorite Christmas movies. I really, really like Rare Exports. If people haven't seen it, you'll see an alternative version of what the usual Santa Claus is like, and you'll see elves like you've never seen an elf before. Let's just say 80-year-olds completely naked. They're the elves in Rare Exports.
Okay.
Yes, lots of nudity. So those are the kind of baubles you don't want to see. But
No.
yeah, Sisu was from that director, so he knows how to do insanity. He did the first one as well. But like I said, with this one, it is just a revenge story. Stephen Lang plays the main bad guy who has been retasked to try and kill Sisu, and that is it. Sisu needs to try and survive to get to the place where he wants to build a house, all the while getting chased through the country in tanks, in aeroplanes, and stuff like that. There is one scene which, yeah, beggars belief. It involves a plane and a flipping of a plane, and there's a scene involving a tank with its treads that gets completely shot out, but yet Sisu is still able to actually use it as a weapon.
Nice. I'm in.
And then there's the huge, massive, bloody battle on the train, and the last sequence is on a train, and it's a huge, massive bloodbath. So if you've liked the first one, you know what to expect with Sisu Road to Revenge. It's a
I,
switch your brain off, enjoy absolutely carnage. And I don't like brain dead action films. I really don't. But absolute carnage in this case here was popcorn entertainment. It was exactly what I wanted. So
I saw Sisu, the first one, for the first time this year, and I absolutely loved it. So it's like literally like 2 weeks after I'd watched the first one, the announcement was like, "There's a sequel coming." I'm like, "Woo, bring it on!" So we have people in the chat. We have Jackson, we have David, and we have Neil Johnson. There we go. What I need to know is Stu Miller's beard just for winter? Or are you going full Viking? Here's a question for you, Stu, from Neil Johnson.
I dare not shave this beard off because if I do, I get ID'd. So it's
Okay.
yeah, I know. The whole point, because I never used to be able to a complete tangent, but I never used to be able to grow facial hair. Like I used to have bits of stubble here and there. but I never used to be able to grow facial hair. And then all of a sudden, I think I hit puberty at the age of 37, and facial hair started to appear like this. And thank God, because I had to apply for my passport for ID because I used to get ID'd everywhere because they never used to believe I was of age. And then obviously when they increased the age in the UK here to 25 to buy alcohol in shops, even though, because you've got to look over the age of 25 now, I was gotten ID'd all the time for things like knives and forks and surprisingly, and alcohol and even 18-rated games. So I grew the beard, and so when I shaved this beard off, I look like a pre-pubescent teenager. So the beard stays. It's always ginger. There's little hints of grey in it, but it's sharply ginger, and so I dare not shave it off. So, and when I do shave it back, which I do every now and again to maybe how you've got yours, to the length of yours,
Yeah.
it takes about a month to go back like this.
Right.
So yeah, I dare not shave it off anymore. But nope, I'm not going for the Viking look. It's just, yes, I've got blue eyes. Yes, I've got a ginger beard. So I must have some kind of Viking element within me, because ginger hair, ginger beard, and blue eyes is the rarest coupling together of eye color and hair color. So I must have some kind of Viking blood within me somewhere.
So
But nope.
Neil, if you fancy like a Viking actor around Sunderland, you've got that sorted. There you go.
A miserable git as well.
Vikings are they're known for their happiness, though, to be fair.
I know. I think, again, that's where I get it from. So moving back into films, and Zootropolis / Zootopia 2. So that I've seen that. It's obviously the sequel to Zootopia, Zootropolis. It's more of the same. It's much more of the same. If you liked what you liked in the first one, you're going to get exactly what it says on the tin with the second one. The animation's really nice to look at. It's one of Disney Pixar's best films in a few years, because Elio came out this year, which I wasn't too much of a fan of. I thought it was fine, but it wasn't anything special. Zootopia / Zootropolis sort of like saved it in a way. So yeah, it was entertaining.
And it's making a few quid, isn't it? Really, it's not struggling.
Yeah, it made a few quid, like the last film I'll get on with. I've seen Five Nights at Freddy's 2, so the sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's, the film that nobody wanted, from a video game series that is supposedly aimed at children, yet the games themselves are 15 rated plus, which is interesting. I always find that funny. Like, kids latch on to horror elements that are well above their age range.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't
Chucky.
be.
Chucky was another one, wasn't it? I suppose Freddy Krueger to a certain extent.
And I wouldn't be surprised if kids were interested in Terrifier. So the Terrifier figures. So yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's, like I said, is supposedly aimed at children, which why a film of it was a bit of a weird one, because you need to try and make it have elements of the game, but also be suitable for children. Yet in America, that they're 12A, or equivalent of what a 12A. In the UK, they're 15s. They're 15 certificates. So you're alienating a lot of the younger audiences. Yet the older audiences are not going to get much from them because there's not enough in there to satiate their horrorness.
Yeah.
And that's the same. The best thing I can say about the Five Nights at Freddy series is the animatronics. The animatronics are fantastic. It reminds you of watching, when you watch a film from the 80s, like seeing the Alien Queen for the first time, or seeing the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park in the 90s. And it reminds you of that kind of thing, because you know how much love and attention went into them to create them, the animatronics and the models. It's the same with the Five Nights at Freddy series. They are animatronics, they are models, they're not CGI. Obviously, they'll have CGI elements to them, but predominantly when an actor goes up against them, there's a model there for them to act against, rather than a tennis ball, which they still use to this day. But yeah, that's the best thing I can say about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It's very on the surface horror. Like, there is nothing in that where my brain goes, oh, this is a 15. But because of some of the nature of it, whereas animatronics are killing humans, they can't make it a 12A. Like, there's no swearing in it. For example, the BBFC's rating, a 12A can have as many instances of the word shit as they want. They can have a couple of hard swears, like the B word, and one of the F word.
Yeah.
Yes. But 15 rated certificates can actually use as many swear words as they want. It's just 18 rated certificates is saved for violence, gore, and a sexual nature. But Five Nights at Freddy's 2 just does not embody the 15 certificate. So it's not scary, it's not gory, there's no tension in it at all. It feels more like a 12-year in a sheep's clothing in that case with the 15. So it's a film that fights itself. It doesn't know its audience.
Okay. I haven't seen the first one, so I haven't really got much to chip in on number two.
I would just not watch them. And then the Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's not a remake directly of the 1984 film. It's more of a homage to the 1984 film because there's. I don't know if you've seen any of the Silent Night, Deadly Night films.
No.
The iconic garbage man scene that's from the second one, where you've got somebody with a gun and shoots somebody when he's taking the garbage out. That was the main protagonist out of the first film. He's gone completely insane. In the second film, well, I bet you didn't know there was 5 films in the original series.
I did not. No.
Where leading, because they completely ditched the realm of Santa Claus to do exactly what they did with Halloween 3, is what they do with 3, 4, and 5 in the Silent Night, Deadly Night series. To the point where the 5th one is about killer toys. So this one is sort of like a homage to it, but the tone of it is, it has a comedic tone, but also a very serious tone to it. And the downfall about the film is that tone is always fighting with itself. Like the comedic tone doesn't know when to actually interleave the comedy elements to it, the slapstick elements in a way, with the dramatic elements. The dramatic stuff is the stuff that actually works. There is some gore in the film. There's a lot of gore in the film, specifically one scene involved in a barn where it is just absolute carnage. Have you seen The Collector?
I have not seen The Collector. No. There's too many films to watch too. I can't watch them all. I'm too busy watching things I've seen before.
Well, there's 2 films in The Collector, and I've always wanted the third one because supposedly Marcus Dunstan, who was one of the directors of the Saw franchise, he directed The Collector and The Collection. And there's a scene in The Collection, the second one, where it's in a nightclub. And the whole point of The Collector is somebody who kidnaps somebody, keeps them in a case, and collects them, and then kills a lot of people. And there is a scene involving, the sort of like things that you find on a combine harvester, the huge, massive, swirling blades on the combine harvester.
Yeah.
He attaches them to the ceiling of a nightclub, and it completely eviscerates everybody in the nightclub.
That's why I don't go to nightclubs. It's not worth it.
Yeah, the awful music and the evisceration. There's a scene in Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is sort of like, in a way, a little bit of a homage to that, but it just involves a lot of people getting absolutely slaughtered with lots of gore. So there's a ton of gore in it. I love the serious drama, gory elements of it. The humor was the slight little misgiven from it. But as a film that is a homage to a 1984 slasher, where it is a cheesy slasher film, it's actually pretty decent.
Okay. So, I've seen it pop up over my social media and stuff, and I just looked at it figuring it was either people talking about one of the original films or it was a remake or something. But then over the past few days, I've learned that it wasn't, and it's the same studio that had the Terrifier.
Yeah.
They just kind of ballsed up the marketing campaign and presumed that people would just gravitate towards it, and unfortunately they haven't, even though people are enjoying the film.
Yeah, so I do actually recommend it if you want, because you know me, I do have a couple of films, normal, straightforward Christmas films that I will watch. Not the second one, but the first one alone. The second one, if they digitally edit out that prick, then maybe I might watch it again.
Yeah.
But the first one, I love the first one. And to me, Gremlins has to be watched at Christmas. It has to be.
We watched it last week.
Love
that movie.
For action wise, and people can piss off, and if they say that Die Hard's not a Christmas film, it is. For me, action wise, Die Hard is probably the best action film to watch at Christmas.
Do you know what?
Um,
What I don't get is why is it every year that question comes up,
I know.
and people get really. If people worked out how much time they spent having debates about whether they think Die Hard's a Christmas movie or not, they could watch like an extra movie. It's like if you think it is,
Yeah,
which it is, then great. And if you don't think it is, don't argue about it. Just move on. Just don't have the
exactly.
conversation. Crazy.
So yeah, Silent Night, Deadly Night is the good anti-Christmas film. If you're looking for a dark Christmas film with a lot of gore to go alongside something like a Rare Exports, then Silent Night, Deadly Night is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And then the last two are the biggies. Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery, dropped on Netflix about a
Friday.
week and a half
Or
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, it was in cinemas for a couple of weeks, which again will not get onto the Netflix debacle with the
No.
with the Warner Brothers and the
Do that.
Paramounts that all rolled into
We'll
one.
do that next year.
Yeah, all I can see is no matter which studio it goes with, they're in trouble. But it looks like it's Netflix that's won that race. But we'll see what happens. But Wake Up Dead Man is the third one in the Ryan Johnson's Benoit Blanc Knives Out mysteries. With this one, it is predominantly set in a church. This time, a new vicar has come to this church. The old vicar at that church ends up getting killed. Benoit Blanc is brought in to find out who the killer is in a Cluedo-esque style murder mystery. I thought the film was okay. It's fine. I really liked the first Knives Out one because it had a very twisty turny kind of feel to it. It just felt like Ryan Johnson forgot the twisty turny stuff because I'm not like one of these people who would watch these mystery films and instantly be able to go, that's the killer.
Oh,
Because
that's my other half in it. She gets them right as
yeah,
well. It's just like what?
I've watched too many Murder She Wrote to get it wrong. Because Angela Lansbury is she's a brilliant actress at being able to pull that carpet from under your feet. Jessica Fletcher, you could never predict on how she's going to solve the case. And so with them, I used to always get it wrong. When Cluedo was a TV series in the UK, I used to watch the TV series. I loved it. And I used to get it quite often correct, around about 75% of the time. I don't know if you can remember Cluedo, the TV series.
No, I don't. Oh,
Yeah, early 90s it was on TV. It was on ITV.
okay.
It was back when the game shows were pretty much 10 a penny. Like they were on everywhere and they were turning things into TV shows like they did with Trivial Pursuit. I don't know if you remember the
I
Trivial
don't remember
Pursuit TV
that.
series. Yeah,
Clearly, I slept for a few decades. I don't remember it.
yeah. So Trivial Pursuit one was just a very straightforward one. Cluedo was they actually had a huge, massive house. And so obviously there was the film Clue. You must remember the
I've
film
seen, yeah,
Clue.
yeah, I've seen Clue with the multiple endings and stuff. Yeah, well,
Yes.
the different endings.
So very similar to what they're doing with the new Avengers trailer. There's 4 different trailers depending on which format you actually see Avatar in, is depending on what trailer you get. So if you
That's
see it in
crazy.
2D, if you see it in 3D, if you see it in IMAX, you get different trailers.
I hope they're pretty much the same trailer, other than slight differences, because otherwise, those 4 trailers are going to be online in a week, and you're going to have seen more footage from a film than you really need
That's
to.
supposedly online anyway. So obviously people with cameras leaking them, throwing them up on YouTube, but they get took down as quickly as you can click your fingers. But yeah, Wake Up Dead Man for me it was one of those films where as soon as the first scene where you see all the entire people at play, so the suspects, because there is one specific scene around about 20 when as soon as the murder has happened, there is a scene where you do see the whole ensemble cast together. I can pretty much guess you'll pick out who the killer is. You'll easily be able to pick because there is one, in my opinion, that stood out like a sore thumb. As soon as I met them as a character in the film, I was thinking, my eyes are actually on you. I'm concentrating a little bit more on you, and lo and behold, I was correct. So unlike with the other two, it was slightly hard to predict on how it was going to actually flow. With this one, it was just too simple. It's too long as well. It's on for just under 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it's way, way, way too long. Performances are really good, but the whole film itself was a little bit of a letdown for me.
Compared to the least of the 3, do you think Glass
Yeah.
Onion, Knives Out? Yeah, Wake Up Dead
Even
Man.
though I didn't really like Glass Onion, I thought Glass Onion was a bit meh. Knives Out, the first one's very, very good, but this one isn't bit me for me. It's like a
I'll
3-star.
watch it at some point because it's an X type of film. She's a huge Agatha Christie fan. That's how she manages to get stuff right. We've been
Yeah,
rewatching, well, we've been watching, not rewatching, Only Murders in the Building on Disney, and she's got every single season. She's nailed the killers very early on. She got 6 out of 7 of the Scream killers. You know the movies. She guessed them right. So
yeah.
she's a smart ass when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure she'll get the killer or killers in Wake Up Dead Man.
If there is a TV series, I always forget the name of it. It was one that was shown on BBC Three. It only lasted for one season, and it was, I think it's called Harper's Island.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really good. I enjoyed that.
Has she seen that?
No, she hasn't, because I watched that when it was
My
airing on American TV, and it's out. You can get the DVD box set and stuff, so I might try and pick it up cheap.
Yeah, that might
That
be a
was
bit
good.
of a challenge for her because that one is like very twisty turny. Like you really, I'm still not sure until the second to last episodes. It is called Harper's Island, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
So
13 episodes or something. It was one of
yes,
those.
and it
Yeah,
didn't get to about episode 11 before you actually started to have an inkling who potentially it could have been that the killer is.
yeah,
So I would see if that one will stump her. Harper's
yeah. Well,
Island.
oh well.
And the final film is Avatar: Fire and Ash, the third in the Avatar series. Supposedly, the previous Avatar film, Way of Water, and Fire and Ash were supposedly one film.
About seven
Because,
hours long.
yeah, if you looked at the timeline, Avatar 4 was supposed to have been out this year, because Avatar 3 was supposed to be out in 2023. So he split them into two films, thank God, because this one's on for 3 hours and 19 minutes, which is nuts. And what I'll give praise to Cameron because the first Avatar film, for its time, looked spectacular. It did. It actually looked spectacular. And in 3D, it was one of the only films that actually made 3D work. There are a couple of other films here and there which didn't make it work. Dread, for example. I thought the 3D in Dread was actually really good. And this was back when Andy was champion 3D. He had a 3D TVs, a 3D projector. He said 3D was the future. I had a 3D
Andy.
TV. I know.
Andy,
I had I had a 3D TV as well with us wearing glasses. Really didn't work very well for us. And so the second film was all about pushing the technology forward to try and make the Navi as more human as possible. That uncanny valley area.
Yeah.
The third film, you look at the technology and go, well, it hasn't evolved as much as it did from going from 1 to 2. So what's the big element of the third film that should be the spectacle? It's the size of the film itself. It's huge, but the Way of Water was huge in its scope. So was the first one, but each one is gradually getting bigger. And this one takes a lot of elements from the second one, who just goes, well, we had one copter in the second one. Let's have 4. We've got these wheel characters in the second one. Let's have multiple of them, but a couple of huge, massive ones.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with the Avatar series is the story. I couldn't give one bollock, if to put it nicely, about the story of the Avatar series because it's so mundanely stupid. It is just humans trying to do the typical human thing and invade somewhere where, in a way, they're scared of. They're scared of people being higher up than them. And that's the typical human element. And that's the process through every one of the films. The third film feels like it's just a rehash of leftover story strands from the second one. It is that basic and bog standard because the Navi is sort of like coming to terms with, especially the one that's played by Zoe Saldana, with the death of her son and her hatred towards pale skinned people like us. However, she's got an adopted stepson who is a pale skinned person who can't live in the Navi world without wearing a mask. And so her hatred towards human beings is still at the forefront, as in the second one. Stephen Lang's character, spoilers for the second one. Sorry for spoilers for you for this one here.
That's fine. I've tried to get through it. I can't. 3 times.
Spoilers for the second one. Stephen Lang's character dies in the second one. In the third one, he's resurrected, surprisingly, and his task is to try and take down Sully.
Didn't
So,
Stephen Lang die in the first one as well, though?
yes.
I thought so, yeah.
So he tries, he goes on the same campaign as he did in the second one. So he does exactly the same thing in this one. The only thing is, like I said, they take a few action scenes and ramp up the action a little bit. It's just bum-numbingly boring. As Mark Kermode said, these are just giant Smurfs. And that's all the pretty are. I still not listened to his review, which as soon as I finish this, I'm going to go onto YouTube and listen to his review. But I know how much he hates the Avatar series. I'm up there with him. I 100% agree with him on how boringly dull, stupid, over the top, grandiose, somebody bending over, smelling his own farts of a series it is. Because James,
the flip side of that, though, is, and you keep hearing people banging on about, oh, there's no cultural reference to Avatar. They're making like $2 billion each time these films are coming out. Fair play to them. I'm not a huge fan of them. They're not for me, but I'm all right with that. It's fine. I hope it makes a fortune, and everybody who watches it does enjoy it. But
the reason why they are is because they are a cinematic spectacular.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is sort of like James Cameron. If one thing, see, you know how I feel about Zack Snyder, and you know how I feel about Michael Bay. I think both of them are very much akin to James Cameron. The difference between Cameron and those two is Cameron knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to tap into the mindset of what it was like to go to the cinema when he was a child, all the way up until the beginning of the millennium. He knows what that was like. The last time spectacular happened to this outside of the Avengers was the Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potter franchise. Yeah. Because with each one of those released, especially with Lord of the Rings, each one got bigger and bigger. And that was the point. Harry Potter, it actually kept itself in its own world, but it was always that cinematic event. And so the next one obviously is going to be the next Avengers film, because even a Spider-Man film doesn't feel like that cinematic event anymore. Yet Cameron knows how to tap into that thing of the cinematic event where you're taking your family to watch a spectacular film on the big screen, whether it be completely devoid of anything of interest in it or not. So that's how it makes that. And it's kind of a movie that speaks to all cultures.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't alienate a culture itself, because human beings at war against other human being-esque characters, that's what the world is like, no matter where you go, whether you go from the smallest island off the coast of New Zealand to the most northern point in Alaska. Human beings are exactly like that. And Cameron knows how to tap into that. But I still think he makes empty, vapid, like very boring films, like a cardboard. But I think the best way to describe a James Cameron film is they're like a Fabergé egg. Beautiful and spectacular on the outside, you crack into the middle, hoping to see something of interest, and there's absolutely nothing in the middle.
But if you look at, I mean, I really like James Cameron, but I'm not a massive Avatar fan. But all the other films that he's done, your True Lies, your Terminator 1 and 2, Aliens, stuff like that. Titanic, I will always go to bat for Titanic. But I can't get into the Avatar films. And it makes me sad, because at some point there'll be several James Cameron films that I've not watched. It's like, oh, I like the guy though.
I hate Titanic. I hated it when I saw it in the cinema, when my mum bought the VHS on 2 VHSs that came with the newspaper of when the Titanic actually set sail and sank. When she watched it, because she didn't get to see it in the cinema, I did, and she watched it and went, why the hell have I spent this money on this pile of crap? So she didn't like it.
Oh,
and,
no.
And it was my mum's territory. She loved sort of like romantic dramas, and she absolutely loved disaster films. Disaster films was her favorite genre, until I got her into horror movies and animated films. But yeah, she absolutely loved like the Tower and Infernos and Poseidon Adventures and stuff like that. That was her cup of tea. And The Day After Tomorrow and Independence Day. But even she felt like that was absolute pile of crap. And so I would have thought that she would have thought exactly the same with the Avatar series. Dull, a dull spectacular.
When
it's
are we
an
getting the fourth one
of a movie.
When are we getting the fourth one? What, 5 years, do you reckon?
Well, Cameron is 72.
Yeah.
So the next one was obviously being shot at the same time as the third one. Supposedly, it might be with us by the end of 2027, if not 2028.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, he's still got a few years left in him to direct. I mean, Clint Eastwood's in his
yes,
90s and he's still going, but yeah.
yeah. But you wouldn't see Clint Eastwood direct a huge, massive
No,
scale
I
of a
would.
movie like that.
I mean, I'd watch it, but yeah, I don't think that's Clint's wheelhouse. Is it? He's more like, give me a bunch of really good actors and we'll film it in like Boston or something.
Yeah, and considering that Clint Eastwood's not into scuba diving as much as James Cameron is because he's
No,
obsessed with that kind of stuff.
James
But I would
Cameron's an
love,
explorer that likes making movies.
I
Not
would like to see Cameron make one more movie outside of this.
outside that, and not a Terminator movie. I'm fed up of hearing that James Cameron's going to be involved in a new Terminator movie. It's like, well, the other
Yeah,
ones he was involved with weren't great either, other than one and
I would,
two, obviously. But
I would like to see what James Cameron could do with a budget of between 30 to 60 million pounds. See what he could
his
actually
lunch,
do.
his lunch, and he'd probably
Probably,
rent a
yeah,
submarine for a few hours. But
yeah,
I hope it makes a ton of money because
it will.
cinemas need it, and if people go watch it and a lot of people enjoy it, fair play to them.
In its opening day, it was tracking just slightly behind Wave Water in its opening day. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if, when the figures pop out tomorrow, we see that it's made in the North American box office about 250 million. I wouldn't be surprised
And
in the
then you'll still
worldwide
see
box
people
office.
on the internet going, "It's a flop," because it's the internet.
Well, for it to actually break even, supposedly it needs to make around about 1.5 billion for it to supposedly break even.
Yeah, but that's at the box office though. Something like Avatar
Yes,
is going to make film for years. I mean, the first one's still making money now, so
because he re-releases them.
yeah, smart move. Yeah, every time
Uh-huh.
somebody like beats him at the box office, is like, just release my film again, please. Bang, done. So
Because you know
Avengers and Avatar keep having a fight with each other, don't
exactly that.
they? And Disney are like, just keep releasing both of them for all we care because we're getting some of that money.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But that's the films in question, the new films. There is two
Cool.
more, but I'm gonna go over them because that was the reason why it took me to today to actually finalize my top 10 because there's two more films that I watched over the last couple of days that have actually gone into my top 10 of the year.
I had one that went in last Sunday into my top 10, and as soon as I watched the film, and as soon as I like, that's going to go in my favorite list, I'm like, I'm going to get so much shit online for this, but I don't care. We like what
It's
we
your
like. What
list.
we like. What we like. Don't we? Sometimes a
Yeah,
movie is just a movie. It doesn't have to like change your lives. We just have to watch it.
it is
Um,
your list.
it
So
is. So it's like I had to kick something out and then put something in that I know I'm going to get people going, "What? How many films did you watch this year? Did you not find better ones?" But I liked it, so I don't care.
yeah.
So, what's the best gadget you've bought this year? So let's start a nice, easy one for you.
Um, let's have a think. I would probably say, gadget wise, entertainment, it's probably the Switch 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did,
the Switch 2.
did you get rid of your Switch One when you got the Switch Two? Have you still got both of them?
Yeah,
You got
got
rid.
rid of the first one because it's backwards compatible fully. So apart from a few minor games, so probably yeah, the Switch 2. Outside of that, it probably is my coffee maker. Even though I don't use it a lot these days, it makes when you do use it, it reminds you on how good coffee can actually be because it makes a really nice coffee. So yeah, Switch 2 and then a coffee maker
What's the
for
best
me.
game on Switch Two so far that you've played?
Donkey Kong Bonanza. I thought that game
That's
was a hell of a lot of fun.
that's one of the games that would make me go out and get a Switch Two because I love. I think it was I don't know which Nintendo it was that I played Donkey Kong Country on, but I loved it. So it's SNES, I think it was.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo.
So, well, my
But
best
yeah,
gadget is this one, PS Portal.
I'm going to wait for the
Really good.
January sales, and so I think I
Yes.
might because I don't buy myself anything for Christmas because I'm 45. I live on my own. I don't bother with Christmas at all. I've got a few bits and bobs for me godchildren, but that's it. I don't buy myself anything for Christmas, so I'll wait for the January seals because I know I can probably get one easily sub £200. So I was thinking about getting the PlayStation portal.
It's good.
Because
have you got Ozzy the cat something for Christmas?
he got a new scratching post, which is just to the right of his, and the amount of treats and stuff like that he's got is nuts. So he's all treated up.
We're all going out for Christmas dinner, and we're taking a little Tupperware thing with us, and we're gonna, off everybody's plate, bring it back, and he's gonna have his own. Oscar's gonna have his own Christmas dinner. So.
See, for me, I'm going to a friend's for Christmas Day. A friend kindly invites me every single year. So I'm going to theirs for Christmas Day. And because I do that, my tradition now is to have my Christmas dinner on Boxing Day.
Okay.
But my cat, Ozzy, does not actually take food off your plate or even eat my food, human food. He will only actually eat his cat food. Like, I've given him a little bit of chicken every now and again, and he'll go to it. But when I've tried him on anything from just any meats whatsoever, he will not eat it. But yeah, when I sit down with me tea, I have to show him, going, look, this is what it is. He has a little sniff of it and just pretty much goes, nah, not for me.
Wow. Cats are pretty cool though, aren't they? They're not too bad. So let's get on to the best. Should we do the best films, or should we go through your worst films? Which would you rather do?
Well, it's down to yourself, but because you've got a best list as well, do you want me to go through the worst, and then we can end off it on a high with
we can
best
end up
films?
on a positive, yeah. So we're going to go through the worst films, in your opinion, of 2025. I probably have seen like one of them, I reckon. Hopefully not all my top 10 are in there.
We'll see then. So I've got some dishonorable mentions. Like with my best films, I've got some honorable mentions and a special mention. Because you know where the special mentions going on the best films, I did not cop out this year like I did last year. So the worst films, so these dishonorable mentions are not in any specific order. So it's not like 11 to 15, whereas the top 10 are in order of 10 to 1. So dishonorable mentions include films like Monster Tapes, which is a small unknown film which very few people know about. It is on Amazon Prime. It's about a couple of cops that stumble upon this abandoned factory where experiments occurred and discover these monsters lying within there. It's a found footage film. Monsters is sort of like pushing it a little bit, considering there's only one monster and you only barely see it in the entirety of the film, and it just does not have a clue on how to handle found footage neither. So it's just a complete waste of time. St. Patrick's Day Massacre does exactly what it says on the tin. A group of American tourists stumble upon this myth that in this small town with Inside Ireland, somebody went on a murdering massacre spree in the early 1900s, and the ghost of that murderer is languishing around this abandoned pub. And so there they are going to investigate it. It's awful. It really is awful because it doesn't get how to handle slasher films. The gore is just non-existent. The acting is terrible. It's like it feels like it's from a couple of students who've never made a film before. So completely forgettable. Again, it's on Amazon Prime. And then the last one on Amazon Prime, sorry, Prime, but you are now the absolute dumping ground of films. Night of the Werewolves. So this felt like it was remember Film 2000, the studio that brought us some fantastic films like Killjoy and movies like that. Yeah, this is very much akin to a Studio 2000 film, a budget of a packet of crisps. It's just like the budget is tiny of werewolves.
Crisps are pretty expensive nowadays. I could probably make a movie off a budget of a bag of crisps.
Yeah, but yeah, this is horrendous. Like the acting, especially in the two main characters when they're camping, they use a tent that they must have bought from B&M in a £5 seal. as the tent itself, and their acting is abhorrent because again, it's another typical thing where two people are investigating supposedly werewolves in the middle of a forest, and they discover it's an experiment done by the army. The army have to try and chase down a werewolf that's escaped from a lab. And it's honestly, it's shockingly awful. If you watch the trailer, you would laugh at the trailer rather than going, "This is a horror film." Again, that's on Prime. And then the two films that you'll actually know: Snow White. Disney, stop making live action versions of your animated films. Just stop it. They're awful. No matter what you do, they're just awful. I'm guessing from that face you say no.
No, I think, and I haven't seen Snow White. It was one of those that I wanted to watch it just because everybody was destroying it with knives and trying to burn it with fire and stuff. I'm like, just let me watch it and wave a flag for it or something. But I just never got around to it because real life got in the way and other movies popped up. And then I realized, you know what does it matter whether I watch Snow White or whether I don't? I'll probably watch it at some point. But keep making live action movies if they keep making money, but just stop listening to film Twitter who were like, "You're using little people in it. You shouldn't be using. All right, we'll change them for CGI dwarves. Oh, look, you're using CGI dwarves. What are you doing?" It's just like, it seemed to me like Disney were just listening to the noise that was going on online, and it was a car crash of a release, and that's
Well,
without me having seen the film. So,
in my opinion, it's Disney themselves, in my opinion, because they've done it so many times, the live action versions of their previous IPs, and they haven't learned from any mistakes made in any of those films. They haven't. They shoot themselves in their own foot every single time because it must have been that some executive came up with the idea of how they were going to handle the dwarfs.
yeah,
Yes, the backlash only comes from the audience when they find out what Disney are doing. So, for example, when you see the first trailer, that's when you get the understanding, or when you hear mutterings of what's actually happening on the set. Yet you have to have somebody to come up with the idea to actually create that.
yeah,
So it's Disney for me. They're just after more money, and they don't put that money into wise projects. It's just, yeah, it might be brilliant for cinemas, but cinemas are still languishing. Yet Disney is still making these movies, so
yeah,
it's not a big help to cinemas because people, as soon as they hear word of mouth, they're not going to see it. So unless
no,
the film itself does absolute insane numbers in its first week, it's not going to make its money back. And a lot of these Disney live action versions of their animated brilliances have not made their money back, or they've just made their money back. So the book needs to stop. They just need to stop and think about it and actually take their time with it. It's not that they don't have anything else to release in the meantime. Look at the amount of IPs and properties they've got. For example, next year, they're probably going to release a good. I know Paramount said that if they got all the Warner Brothers, they would release 30 films in the space of a year. Yet Disney, with the amount of studios that they've got, whether it be Pixar, whether it be Marvel, whether it be 20th Century Studios, are going to easily top that 30 films in that year because they've got more in their catalogue to be able to release. So take your time then with it, rather than just rushing out going, "Oh, here's Snow White, and then next year we'll do this or we'll do that."
I think they probably. I mean, I could rant and rave about online film fans constantly, but it's like they'll complain, "Oh, nothing original's coming out. Something original will come out. Nobody goes to watch it. It doesn't make any money." So then the studio's like, "I guess we're doing sequels now. Why are you doing sequels? All you do is sequels." Amazing. It's a bit
We're a
of a,
fickle bunch.
yeah, pretty
And
much.
then the last dishonorable mention, it's a Disney double bill. Tron Ares, no surprise. It's yeah, it. The trailer was false hope. Yeah, because it's I found Tron Ares to be a slog of a film. The acting is awful. The setup is awful. The CGI is red and black. Like we haven't seen that before. Nintendo made a console with red and black in it, the Virtual Boy, which only had 15 games and it absolutely flopped. Yet they think, oh, that makes a film very interesting, have bold blacks and bold red stripes through it. It might do in the trailer, but for a feature length film, no. So
Tron Ares may or may not get a mention when I start talking at some point.
yeah, in my opinion, it was flogging a dead horse in the series with Tron. So yeah, Tron Ares, it was never going to make my worst 10 list. When I was writing out my list itself, it was never going to make that. It was a dishonorable mention because I think I gave it like a 2, and I was being really generous. But into my list, so number 10, no surprise, Smurfs.
Yeah.
The Smurfs is the worst animated, well, the second worst animated feature film I've seen this year. There is another one in my list, but nobody has heard of it and nobody has seen it. But everybody's heard of the Smurfs, and this was just an awful film for children, especially the core audience of it. I don't even think that they would have gotten any enjoyment of it. And Rihanna, who was supposedly being able to create like good soundtracks, she created one of the worst songs of this year. Like it's a kind of earworm that even Con would have actually laughed at.
Yeah.
So Smurfs is just so forgettable. The animation is really bog standard. It's very lazy filmmaking when it comes to animated features. So Smurfs,
Right.
and the cat.
Showing
So the
up to hear
cats are
your
definitely
list.
not.
Showing up
Yeah,
to hear your list.
mine has gone to sleep. So number 9, Strangers Chapter 2.
Yeah, this is not in my favorite top 10, but I didn't mind it. It's just like,
Yeah,
it was fine.
when you've got a scene in a slasher film that is about somebody trying to survive against a boar.
Yeah, that was a weird scene. You're like, why is that in there? It's like turning into a revenant or something. Yeah,
then when you've got a director who said that you have to sit through the first one to get through his vision for the second one, is get Rennie Harlan, shut the hell up.
yeah.
You should never, ever, ever think like that as a director. That's like a director, big no-no. Don't tell people, oh, you have to sit through the first one to get to the good stuff in the second one. That's bullshit. The third one, annoyingly, the trailer looks okay. It looks salvageable, but it can't be any worse. The only plus point you can see with the next Stranger films is it's not getting dumped in the horror graveyard of January, despite the fact that there is a couple of films coming out in January which look spectacularly brilliant. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, for example, that's out in a few weeks' time. But yeah, Strangers Chapter 2 is, did we need a Strangers Chapter 1? Hell no. Did we even need a sequel to Strangers? No. But Johannes Roberts, who I don't like as a director, who I think that his best film is actually Strangers Pray at Night, if he can make a better film than Rennie Harlan, who was actually in the past proven to be able to actually create a good, entertaining film, then it says something. Especially, he's had 2 cracks at the whip. So let's see if he makes a trilogy of shit with the third one.
Yeah, that's what they'll call the box set. Strangers Chapter 3.
Yeah, the trilogy of crap.
Trilogy of shit.
Number 8 is a film that nobody has heard of. It's the only other animated film on my list. It's a film called Beneath.
Okay.
You try and search for this film on IMDb, and good luck, because you will find it a really hard task to even try and find it on IMDb. I was the first person to review it on Letterboxd. It's that unknown. Beneath is an animated feature film that is shot and created entirely in the Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine, for people who do not know, is a video game engine that creates pretty much most of the big video games these days that is not done by a studio that uses in-house engines. So, for example, Sony uses their own in-house engine with Horizon, the Horizon series. And so Unreal Engine, you'll have played a game that uses the UE5 engine. And this director thought it was a good idea to create an entire feature-length film created on Unreal Engine. The last time a studio did that with a feature-length film where they used a video game engine to create the film itself was Final Fantasy's The Spirits Within, which was created by Squaresoft back then, but they were actually called Square because they just changed from Squaresoft, as it was originally Sunsoft and Square together. And then they split off. Sunsoft went their own way. Square became their own entity, and they bought Enix, which was part of Eidos. And then they bought Eidos. So it was Square Enix Eidos, but they just called themselves Square Enix. Past lesson up there on video games. And so they created Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, which bankrupted the studio when it comes to movies, which is a shame because I actually quite like Final Fantasy: The
I
Spirits
did.
Within.
I had it on DVD when it came out.
The soundtrack is fantastic. I felt, but it has not held its weight now because it looks really ugly now, very much similar, and people are going to come at me with pitchforks. Toy Story, the first Toy Story, is an ugly
Yeah,
film now, in my opinion.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but Beneath was entirely shot using UE5, and it is just about two characters in this submarine under the water trying to survive. It is the ugliest animated film I've seen since a film called Food Fight, which is an animated film which is so notoriously bad looking. This is very similar. It just did not hold up to the engine itself. If people are interested in it, sorry, Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. But you're going to have to really search for it because there's a couple of films called Beneath. There's a monster movie called Beneath, which is watchable. But yeah, you'll find it difficulty to try and find it. Moving into number 7. Now, my list could have been peppered with the children's IPs that have gone into the anybody can actually make films based on them. But I actually sort of like kept myself to one per franchise. So number 7, Shiver Me Timbers. So with the Popeye films, there was loads of Popeye films. None of them were really good. The worst one, in my opinion, was Shiver Me Timbers. Annoyingly, there's a sequel coming out next year. The director is actually starting the Kickstarter, Shiver Me Timbers 2, and it's going to have Betty Boo in it, who's actually the head of this huge, massive, wealthy family in New York, and she owns this huge, massive condo in New York, and she teams up with Popeye in the trailer that they released for the marketing material for Shiver Me Timbers 2, survived at the end of the first one, and he walks on a beach and kills somebody, and so he teams up with Betty Boo to kill people
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
alongside this mutated character. But yeah, Shiver Me Timbers it was the worst Popeye film. It was just awful acting, awful gore, no scares in it whatsoever, just terrible. But it's not the worst in the Twisted Children's universe, which is what I call it. Taking the children's IP and letting anybody make something of it. There is a couple more to come, and one of them is at number 6, Mouse of Horrors, which is the worst one out of the Mickey Mouse ones. Um, this was the film, if you remember, was the one that I said has the worst dubbing and the worst sound editing I've ever heard in a film. It's because the sound editing, it just does not match what's actually happening on screen, and the dubbing is awful. Like there'll be a tense scene, and then the music only comes in about a second or a second and a half after that tense scene begins, and it does not make sense. Like when the Foley artist who actually worked on this needs firing, because when they're walking, for example, on the pier, you should hear somebody's footsteps on wood. You
Yeah,
only actually hear them after they've actually properly moved. So they'll move. You should hear the footsteps, but then the footsteps only come in after they've actually moved again. And so the footstep sound always feels like it's slightly behind what happens. Mouse of Horrors is on Tubi if people are interested in watching it. I think it's also on Amazon Prime as well.
it doesn't sound like Amazon Prime, or are they just shoveling things onto Amazon Prime then?
Yeah,
Like quick
because
fill it up with stuff.
Bambi the Reckoning and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares and stuff like that is on Tubi on Amazon Prime as well. But yeah, Mouse of Horrors was the worst Mickey Mouse one out of that one. And then sticking with Prime,
Oh no!
Flight Risk.
Oh, I didn't mind that.
I
I did.
hated that film.
My issue with Flight Risk is I mean, I like films that are contained, and they're like this one's predominantly set
I
in
do.
just an airplane. I quite like those. Is you watch it, you go, yeah, I've seen a million films that are worse than this one, and probably 500,000 films that are just as good as this. How the hell is this a Mel Gibson directed film? How is
Yeah,
this from
but
the guy who did Braveheart and Hacksaw Ridge? That's my biggest issue with Flight Risk. It's like there is nothing about that shows that Mel Gibson, who can't direct a movie, did that one. That's the weirdest thing. It boggles my brain.
yeah, well, this is the director, remember, who is absolutely adored by one Donald Prickhead Trump. This is
Yes.
one of the directors who was brought into the fold that Trump turned around and said would be the savior of Hollywood alongside Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, but that's
when
on Trump for being a dick, isn't it? Just going, I'm going to
yeah,
bring these people, because Mel Gibson apparently didn't even know that was. It was like, what, he saw it on a tweet. He's like, hey, do I get a free house with it? And then
Mel
never got a
Gibson's a
reply.
prick anyway. As a director, he's supposedly a horrible director to work with. That's why Jim Caviezel has dropped out The Passion of the Christ too.
Well, it's probably because Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning twice while making the first Passion as well. I think that's probably a good reason. But
and the fact
like,
that Mel Gibson's a prick.
But if you look at Mel Gibson's finished films, they're well made. They're definitely better directed than Flight Risk. So I don't know what happened.
Half of Hacksaw Ridge is. There was half of that film I thought was okay. The other half I didn't like. Braveheart is a good film, but yeah, Flight Risk is probably the worst thing he's actually put his fingers on when it comes to being a director. Mark Wahlberg is atrocious in the movie, and I don't even think Wahlberg is a good actor anyway. I think his early career, that was when Wahlberg was strong, Fear and Boogie Nights.
Basketball Diaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Fear, which I thought was really good in Fear because he was very malevolent in that. And Boogie Nights is a brilliant film with Wahlberg in it. This is just awful. There's in a thriller that is in a self-contained plane about somebody who is being taken to America to testify against somebody evil. It isn't thrilling. It isn't tense. The dialogue is woeful. The interaction between the characters is bad. I just thought it was a terrible film.
Wahlberg's hairstyle, what's all that about? It's a weird choice.
Exactly. He supposedly shaved that part off as well.
He did.
To make himself bald.
Where does that decision come from? I don't know.
You go that far to actually create something as woeful as this? Well done. You've got a paycheck now. Grow your hair back, you stupid idiot. Into the bottom four or top four, depending on where you want to look at it. Diced Reloaded, which was that slasher film I explained last month, which was based off a short story about a clown serial killer, when I actually said it was very similar to a certain film that we actually know. So it is just about a clown that escapes from a mental asylum, experimental place, and goes on a killer rampage. I watched one TikTok video where somebody said that Diced Reloaded was actually a lot of fun. I replied to TikTok video and said, I thought it was terrible. And the director of Diced Reloaded replied back to me, which was quite nice.
What did he say?
He was actually quite nice about it. So he just said, I appreciate your opinion. So at least he wasn't a dickhead and turned around and says, oh, well, you didn't see the whole thing of what I was trying to create with this film. So at least he was nice about it. But I still stand by the fact that you created probably the worst slasher film of the year. It's on for an hour and 18 minutes. The only good thing about it is you don't realize it's on for an hour and 18 minutes because it begins then ends, and you couldn't care less what happens in between. And so it's bad. Number 3, going back to the world of Amazon Prime, War of the Worlds. Yes, in my opinion, there are 2 films worse than War of the Worlds. Wow. I didn't know how that was going to be possible. This is the worst thing that Ice Cube has actually put his name to. The acting is horrendous. It's like literally he's got his script in front of him on the monitors that he works from, trying to actually read exactly what's on the script, but it's probably in a font that's so small that he can't even see it. It's obviously it is a commercial for Amazon, because who else would it be? And it's that kind of film that was originally fully shot, fully finished a few years ago. Then nobody picked it up. And then Amazon picked it up and did a lot of reshoots. And those reshoots are very Amazon product heavy ones. So when you've got a film where even Ice Cube turns around and says, all right, and get this shipped to me in 1 hour using the Amazon drones. Yeah, alarm bells need to ring. The CGI in the film is awful. Eva Longoria does not know what the hell she's actually doing in the movie. Nobody does. Nobody has a clue what the hell they're actually saying or even acting to. It's shockingly bad.
The crazy thing is the amount of people that probably watched that film because they'd seen a news story about how terrible it was. It would have been. That's probably had more views than a film that people came out and went, actually, that's pretty good, that one.
Yeah, because it was literally front and center when you loaded up Amazon Prime. It was the first thing that was on the home screen when for that week.
Yeah.
So it was awful. And then into the bottom two, number two, the worst of the Twisted Children universe films, in my opinion, Piglet,
Right.
which was the Australian film based in the Winnie the Pooh universe. Thank God there was no Winnie the Pooh in this one, because I thought Blood and Honey 2 was actually fine. It was watchable. But Piglet was awful. It was a guy in a mask. The masks are worse than the ones in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which I didn't think that was actually possible. The acting is worse. The deaths are worse. The gore is worse. And so if Piglet and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey came out in the same year, Piglet would have actually still been a worse film than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And that is saying something. And then the worst film of 2025 for me, when I watched this film, I was thinking, if I watch a worse film than this, then I've had probably one of the worst watching years. It's a film that's in my worst films of all time list, Scissors.
Yeah.
It's another killer clown movie where it's directed by Harry Sparks, who Harry Sparks is known for creating adult films. All of his films in his oeuvre, apart from Scissors, are pornographic movies. And he gets actors from those pornographic movies to play the lead roles in Scissors. The opening sees a woman with big boobs getting chased around a kitchen with a knife by a guy in a mask. And that's it. That's the only plus point about the entirety of the film. It's on Tubi. It's on for an hour and 6 minutes, so it's not on for very long. It's on for 66
that's a
minutes.
plus by the sound of it. That's good.
They couldn't even get to 69 minutes, which would have made it slightly more funnier.
That would have been, yeah.
And it might have actually given it itself another half a star. It's the only film, because even Piglet I gave 1 out of 5 to. It's the only film on my list I gave it a 0.5. I gave it a half a point because it's a film that exists, that they actually created something. So yeah, Scissors is my worst film of 2025.
See, I don't think I have. I'm having a look now. I don't do the worst lists. I have sort of letdowns. I've got one on it. Actually, I've probably got two. Actually, one is Jurassic World Rebirth, which
Yeah,
looked fine. I felt nothing watching it.
same. I saw it
And
in
it was like,
cinemas and I felt nothing.
it's fine. I came out and I'm like, okay, what else am I going to watch? What am I going to have for tea or something like that? Echo Valley. Was it Echo? No, it wasn't Echo Valley. Echo Valley I really liked. Hollow Road. I liked that up to a point. And then when the whole thing was revealed in the final few minutes, I'm like, that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm out. So I kind of fell out with that film.
I really liked Hollow Road, actually.
I love because I like these limited things and it's all on speakerphones and stuff. I'm like, this is my type of movie. But then I'm like, the plot just went weird for me. Anyway, I'm like, what? It baffled me a little bit. But that's pretty much it. I generally don't try and remember the really crap films that I watched. I'm sure there's a few, but
Yeah, I watched too many, so obviously I remember the worst ones just as much as I remember the
yeah,
good ones. So
yeah. So let's get on to the best ones. So what I want to do with this one is alternate because I know you've been speaking
I was
non-stop for
thinking
like do that.
that would be a good idea, because it's probably unlikely. There might be maybe one or two films that we might match, but it's probably unlikely we're going to have a list of 10 films where we're going to be the same.
Oh, no chance. That's not even going to happen. I'm just bringing the chat window up just in case anybody chips in. So I'm fully expecting people to give me crap for some of my films. I don't care. It's my list. These are my favorite films of the year.
Do you have any honorable mentions outside of your top 10 or just the 10?
I think I might have honorable mentions. Let me have a look. Yeah, I've got 4 actually. One is Drop, where it's set in a restaurant and it's text messages and who's sending the text messages. Again, that's my type of movie. It's like predominantly set in a restaurant. What's going on? I'm good with that. I liked it. Echo Valley, which is a Julianne Moore film, which was just super dark. Annette bailed out on it because of the subject matter. She's like, I don't want to watch it anymore. I carried on, and I enjoyed that film. The Monkey, I like The Monkey. Saw that at the cinema back in like February. The first of many Stephen King films to come out this year. He's had a good year as Stephen King.
And the second Osgood Perkins film.
And the second one, yep. And then the final honourable mention is Weapons, which I liked, but I'm not a huge fan of the plot device that was like causing the whole thing. I'm like, wasn't bad. It was just, it's not my type of movie where that sort of weirdness happens. But Weapons was good.
I've got, as I said, 5 honourable mentions and 1 special mention. I'll mention the special mention now. It's Floor. Because obviously I named Floor my second best film of last year. It was always a flip between 2 films last year. All of Us Strangers and Floor. Those are the 2 films that I gave a 5 to, because I saw Floor back in November of last year. It was not released in the UK until March of this year. So I was toying between whether to add it into my list this year and cop out or not. But then I thought, you know what, I won't. So I thought I'll give it a special mention. If it was in my top 10 list, it would have been the only animated film in my 10. So there's a clue. There isn't a single animated film on my 10 list. And it would have been very close, if not at the top, because Floor, I think, is a special, very special animated film. And then my other mentions, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for one of them, but other mentions are A Real Pain, which is a Kieran Culkin film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah,
that was in my 10, but then it got pushed out. Strange Harvest, which I was eager to see the film, and it's one of those films where it gets hyped up and it actually lives to its hype. It's a mockumentary film about a serial killer, which is, I highly recommend Strange Harvest. It's tense a lot. 28 Years Later is actually in my honourable mentions. One that you might be shocked to hear, Frankenstein. Okay, yeah, I'm a Del Toro film.
It's Del Toro, it's fine.
It's not in my 10, though. That's the shock. No. It's a Del Toro film. That's not in my top 10 films of the year. And then the other one, and this is in a lot of people's top 10s, if not in their top 5, Sinners.
Okay.
Sinners didn't gel with me as much as gelled with a lot of people. I still think as a film, it was very well made by Ryan Coogler, but I felt like the message alongside the horror was fighting itself a little bit too much, in my opinion. So I just don't think he was trying to crack a tone of when, obviously, From Dusk Till Dawn came out, melding a road heist kind of action movie with the horror movie. But I think Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez managed to get those two melded together perfectly. I thought they would just work in synergy. Whereas with Sinners, I think at times it felt like it was just coming a bit too loose from itself. So there are my honourable mentions.
Okay. That's 1 or 2 of those might be getting mentions from me at some point. I've got my iPad down here with all my stuff on it, so that way I'm not doing this all the time.
Well, I'm old-fashioned because I use paper.
I was going to, but I'm like, you know what? I'll just use my iPad, so I've got it here. So yeah, I'm gonna get crap for one of my choices. I'm damn sure, but whatever. I don't care. So we'll bounce backwards and forwards. Mine are not ranked other than the top 2. So when we get to my top 2, they are my 2 favorite films of the year, but everything else can be pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah.
Because
whereas mine is ranked.
Films. I don't know how. I mean, you rank them with the star ratings and stuff, or?
Yes. I do them out of 5, and so it makes it easier for me to rank them at the end of the year.
Right. So my 10th one, Final Destination Bloodlines. I like the Final Destination movies, but I haven't had as much fun with Bloodlines since the first one, I think. I just had a blast. There's not a lot to say about it. It's just, it's nice to see a franchise that's sort of been reinvigorated a little bit. Because some of the later episodes, I couldn't even tell you what happened in some of the previous ones. It's like, which one was that? It's 2. But Bloodlines, I thought was very good. So that's my taste.
Considering that Final Destination 5 was just called The Final Destination as well.
Yeah, which never happened, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. But Final Destination Bloodlines was actually originally in my honourable mentions. but it got kicked out because, as I said, 2 films have actually overtaken in my 10. So I had to kick 2 films out of my honourable mentions, which were Final Destination Bloodlines and The Lost Bus.
Yeah,
Those were the
Lost
2
Bus
that.
I haven't seen, but I know Rob, who I chat with. He's a big fan of the Lost Bus.
Yeah, so those were the ones that I kicked out. Little known fact for you. Well, the director of, or the directors of Final Destination Bloodlines, I bet you didn't know they did the new Fraggle Rock movie for Apple TV.
I didn't even know there was a new Fraggle Rock movie,
Yeah,
so I may check that out because I've got Apple TV now for the next 6 months.
Apple TV have got the rights to Fraggle Rock, and there's been a
Sweet.
couple of Fraggle Rock ones. And yeah, the directors of Final Destination Bloodlines was the directors of Fraggle Rock.
I did not know that. I will check out them when I can.
So my number 10 is the most recent film to add to my list because I've only just watched it today.
Is it a
And I'm
Is it a
assuming,
Running Man?
no, I've seen The Running Man. I watched that in cinemas. But only released today. I've only seen it today. It's a director who I really like, but he's a director that's very hard to get on with. Yorgos Lanthimos, Begonia, his new film.
Yeah.
You need to be a fan of Lanthimos's films to actually understand. I think his easiest film to understand is The Favourite, but his previous films like Dogtooth, Killing of a Sacred Deer, movies like that, they are so difficult to try and latch onto. But if you do get into Lanthimos's mind, which is a very weird place to be, you understand these films. Begonia is Jesse Plemons. He played well, somebody who's living with trauma. Let's just say, and he thinks that this high up CEO is an alien, so he kidnaps her, Emma Stone's character, with the help of somebody who is supposedly a member of his family, but not actually a proper member of his family, who's got mental problems, and so they both kidnap her, try to torture her to get the truth out of the fact that is she an alien or not.
Right.
That I'll leave the story at that, because then in typical Lanthimos's ways of actually doing films is he likes to lead you down a lovely, lovely alleyway with pretty scenery and stuff like that, and then instantly just goes screw you and turns you off into hell.
Is he the
Because he
same guy
likes,
who did Poor Things?
yes.
Right. Poor Things I didn't watch because I saw all the clips and stuff, and I'm like, that looks just too damn weird for my palate.
That's Lanthimos. This one has a very small, straightforward thoroughfare for most part. It's only when it gets into the last like 20 minutes of the film where it goes completely insane. But I sort of like get Lanthimos's films. They're the kind of films that claps onto you, and so you're just intrigued. You're wondering where is his weirdness going to go. He's not like somebody who like Lynch, for example. Lynch, he's just a Lynchian film because a Lynchian film is weird from the onset. Um, Even his more straightforward movies like Mulholland Drive or even Dune are pretty much weird from its onset, whereas Lanthimos likes to drip feed the weirdness or the insanity or the darkness and twistedness. Dogtooth, like I said, is a very hard watch. Killing of a Sacred Deer, just as hard to watch. Even elements of The Favourite or The Lobster, they can be even, you think, oh, I'm grasping onto this, but then all of a sudden he just goes smack around your face and go, time for insanity. And that's pretty much what he does with Begonia. I thought it was a twisted insanity nightmare at the end in the last 20 minutes, but very intriguing leading up to it.
I mean, I like Jesse Plemons, so it's like that'd be a reason for me to just delve into this.
Yeah,
I think
he is.
everything I watch him in, I'm like, he's even his
He's
few
very
minutes
off
in
kilt.
Civil War. Yeah,
He's more off kilt in this than he is in Civil War, but yeah, he does a really good performance in it.
choice. My next one is the one I'm expecting to get shit for, and I don't care. Sean Aries. That's why I was smiling when you were like, "This is terrible." I'm like, "Oh my god, here we go." I was there when the first one came out in '82, and I liked Tron Ares, the Tron first one, and then when Legacy came out, I saw it on Blu-ray, and for me, Legacy is a better film because of the Daft Punk soundtrack, and I really like Joseph Kosinski as a director. So that elevated Legacy up for me. Third one's announced. Kaczynski's not back. It's like, oh no, why is Kaczynski not back? Stu Miller's disappeared. Hopefully, Stu Miller will come back in a second. So I'm just going to carry on chatting. There we go. Stu is back. That is fine. I carried on. So Kaczynski's not back. Different director. Daft Punk aren't back. Is it going to be as good as Legacy for me? Nine Inch Nails are announced. I'm like, not a massive Nine Inch Nails fan, but I'd heard the soundtrack and I quite like the soundtrack. Film comes out, everybody bashes it. Doesn't make any money as far as I could tell. And last Sunday I sat down to watch it, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Let's just see what this is like. And I had a blast with it. I thought you were mentioning the blacks and the reds. I thought that looked great. I think the casting was fine for what the roles were. I like Evan Peters as the crazy executive.
I thought, personally, I thought it was awful.
And a lot of
Evan
people
Peters.
do. Oh, do you really? A lot of people have just like destroyed this poor film. I'm not a massive Jared Leto fan because he's a dick in real life, apparently. But for the role of playing a computer program, it's like, that's fine. You're just doing exactly what you need to do. It was unusual to see Gillian Anderson pop up in there. I'm like, I didn't even know she was in this film. But I had a blast watching it. And I remember stopping it and then going through to Annette going, I might have to put that in my list. And she was like, people are going to go mad. I'm like, well, whatever.
Yeah,
I
sure
like what I like, but it's just, and that was the one that kicked out Drop. And then Tron Ares is now in my favorite films of the year. So it's, I'm fine if everybody disagrees with that. But
yeah.
No.
Moving on to my number 9, a film that was in my top 10 list from the beginning of the year, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, film that people forget that actually came out in the UK, because it's not cheating because it came out in the UK on New Year's Day, on the 1st of January. So it's still counted for us. It obviously came out in America on Boxing Day, well, Christmas Day, because they have their releases on Christmas Day of 2024. So for the UK, I was able to still actually put it in my list. It's a Robert Eggers film. Can't wait for his new film, Werewolf, spelled Werewulf, which is out in October. I think it's released over here, Werewolf. And I'm hoping it's released in October because you know what they do with Robert Eggers films or any A24 movie. They just decided to go, oh, well, we'll throw it out in the UK when we feel like it. But Nosferatu, Eggers is very similar to me, like Guillermo del Toro. He has a style to his films, like Del Toro has his own style. You know what to expect from a Del Toro film when you look at the cinematography. Eggers is the same. He has more of a dour kind of dark look to his movies. The Lighthouse, for example, and The Witch. They've got a very muddy, sort of like lived-in feel. And that's exactly what Nosferatu felt like to me. It was nice to actually get that feeling again, because exploring the life of Nosferatu, which was supposedly the first vampire film, and then Bram Stoker's Dracula came along, and the family of Bram Stoker's was sued by the creators of Nosferatu, by F.W. Murrow, and that story. And the usual thing that people heard from Max von Schleck, who stayed in the character of Nosferatu throughout the shooting of it, so nobody ever saw what he actually looked like until supposedly what the after party was, and then they didn't realize it was actually him. And it was one of those instances where he was nearly thrown out of his own after party.
Check out Shadow of the Vampire with Willem Dafoe,
that's a good film. Yeah,
it's a good movie, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, Nosferatu, it was sort of like a proper vampiric romantic story where the romance actually played a proper element within it. Again, that's been lost over the years. The last time we saw that is if you go back to the Hammer horror movies of the 40s with Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi and those kind of actors where you saw the romantic element before in the 50s that became more titillating kind of vampire films. And that's pretty much how we would see normal sexual attraction in those kind of films to be. But it was nice to actually see it go back to its old style. And it did feel like it was an old style movie, which is my cup of tea. It's my avenue when it comes to horror movies. So again, can't wait to see what he actually does with werewolves, with Werewolf. So he'll have handled witches, vampires, werewolves next. It'd be nice to see if he could create his own Frankenstein movie or see how he would handle that.
But his own universe.
I would go to see a Robert Eggers film. As soon as I see Robert Eggers' name attached as director, I'm there because each one of these films has actually brought something for me that I've really enjoyed.
Guerrilla Division in the chat has put down with this sort of thing, and I've been staring at that message, and I'm like, I'm sure that's from Father Ted. I'm pretty sure it is actually. It's a quote from a Father Ted episode. I'm like, I know that from somewhere. Which movie is it from? It's like, nope, I think it's an episode of Father Ted. My next film is we're going back and we're going into the horror thing again. Bring Her Back. How good was Bring Her Back?
Well, that might show up a little bit later on
That
for
might
me.
show up. The downside to that is when I put the film on and it's like starring Sally Hawkins. I'm like, oh, for flip. Sally Hawkins plays weird, really, really weird, and really, really well. So much so when Sally Hawkins is playing a weird character, I don't like the character. So when I saw her name, I'm like, oh god, she's going to annoy me. And sure enough, her character is really weird and really annoying and not a nice character. So she plays it brilliantly, but she's just too good at it. I don't know. I think I'd have a problem if I ever met Sally Hawkins because I think, well, I don't like you because every time I see you on screen, you're weird and creepy and scary. And then Bring Her Back, abso-freaking-lutely. So this is the follow-up film, not sequel, but follow-up film from the directors that did Talk to Me, which I saw for the first time, I think like earlier this year or late last year as well, I think. So they're doing quite well so far in my book.
The Philippou brothers.
Yes, doing very, very well.
YouTubers who created the Raka Raka, which YouTubers are actually having a resurgence or a resurgence when it comes to the world of horror and stuff like that. Chris Stuckman, for example, did Shelby Oaks. That was one of my disappointment films of the year because I was expecting a lot more. You've got Iron Lung, which is coming out in January. That's created by a YouTuber as well.
Sounds like a happy film, doesn't it? Let's go watch a film called Iron Lung.
Yeah, it's supposedly one of the most goriest horror films ever to be released.
Don't say that to you. That's
considering that to try and top something like the scene in Evil Dead outside of the cabin, where Fede Alvarez used 50,000 gallons of blood alone just in that scene with the raining blood. It's going to be something hard to top. And obviously, you've got Evil Dead, the new Evil Dead film that comes out next year, so that'll try and top that. But there is the director of Milk and Honey. He's doing his first full length feature film. He's a horror YouTube director, which if people haven't seen Milk and Honey, please watch that movie. It's on YouTube. It's phenomenal. And you've got the guy who created the Backroom videos on YouTube. He's creating a feature-length film based on the Backrooms, which has been picked up by A24. So that's coming out next year. So yeah, YouTubers seem to know how to direct horror.
Cool.
Next up for me, completely going away from the realm of horror, is September 5.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
That's number 8 for me. It's set in the 1972 Summer Olympic Games in Munich, where hostage takeover at one of the hotels. And the whole film itself, it's one of those kind of films which is from the point of view of something or someone, in this case here from a news station, who was actually doing the radio commentary on the Olympic Games at the time. And they were the only English speaking ones that were on the ground at that area. So obviously they tried to take over some news stations to show people what exactly is going on with inside the Olympic Games. It's tense. It's extremely tense. It's gripping. It's definitely one of those films that sinks its claws deep within you and you cannot move through the entirety of the film, because even though you know exactly what's going to happen, I wasn't alive in 72, but I know exactly the story that happened at the Munich Games in 1972, because it's been shown multiple times and it's been dramatized a few times as well. This was still, you found out information that you didn't know. To see it from that viewpoint as well, it was just gripping, stupidly gripping.
That probably would have made my list, but I watched it real early in the year. And if somebody had said, what year did that come out? I probably would have said last year. So, but it's really, really good. I think it's on Paramount. So if people want to catch up on that. Yeah.
It was one of those films that it came out in February. So it was one of the early films. But see, this is the thing about, even though I watch all of these films, I still remember the movies back all the way back in January that I've actually seen all the way up until the present day, because my brain's good with that kind of stuff. But other
Mine
things,
used to be. Mine used to be until my health issues just, they like kicking the crap out of me. So there's that. But yeah, September 5 is really, really good. My next one is Ballerina, the sort of John Wick sort of spin-off, because John Wick's in it, so I guess it's like John Wick 3.5. Stupid action film, great action film. You've got fights with flamethrowers, for God's sake. What more do you need? Will it be as good as Sisu 2? I don't know, because I've not seen that yet. But Ballerina had a blast, literally.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't. I thought it was just very formulaic, and
Me
then
too.
obviously
That's why I love it.
they needed to throw the John Wick appearance in it for like 10 minutes maximum.
Yeah.
So not for me. This next film again, it was a new film that pushed into the list because I only watched it yesterday. The only place to see this film is on Letterboxd. Now,
Okay.
yes, Letterboxd actually have their own video store. The difference between Letterboxd's video store and anywhere else is Letterboxd are only going to be showing films that were not picked up for distribution from festivals. So when films
Yeah.
get shown on multiple different festivals and they might be picked up
Yeah.
because of the buzz at the festival itself, Letterboxd are going to be showing films that were not picked up at festivals to hopefully give them a chance for studios to then properly pick them up. So It Ends is the film in question. It went down brilliantly at festivals like Fantastic Fest in America, but nobody picked it up. And so Letterboxd launched their video store on December the 10th, and It Ends was the first film to be on the Letterboxd video store. It's going to do very similar to what Mubi does and have rotations. So the film will be on there for a little while. In this case here, It Ends is going to be on there until early January. Then once that comes, it's gone. And so the whole point is to give it a platform so people can actually see it, and then it hopefully for it to be picked up. In this case here, It Ends is getting picked up for a theatrical release sometime in 2026 by A24.
What's the paywall for Letterbox Video Store then? Is it a free to watch, or is it a video on
No,
demand type thing?
it's a
Or a streaming?
video on demand, so you rent it.
Right.
So this is £17 to rent.
Wow.
They're
Okay.
very, very costly.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing Letterboxd is doing it because they know that not very many people are going to rent them, so they are quite costly.
But how many people are going to rent them? Because it costs 17 quid to rent. Is probably my
Exactly.
thing on that one. But ouch.
But
Okay.
because of the buzz behind this film, it finally got picked up, and I'm so glad it did. This is a kind of film that you would like. Can you remember the film with Lynn Shearing called Dead End?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the car movie where it's on a complete loop and it's constantly going on itself.
Yeah.
This is one of those films.
Okay.
So it centers around I wouldn't say teenagers. They're in their early 20s. They're going out for some snacks. It's pretty much their last time they're going to have a connection with each other. And they're driving back home and they get stuck on this road that is just one long, endless road. It will not end, hence the title, It Ends. Then they discover that something else is on this road that is trying to stop them for whatever reason. It's a very ambiguous movie. It doesn't give you any kind of help as to see, oh, this is what's causing this. This is the reason why they're stuck in potentially purgatory, limbo, because it's explored throughout the film. Are they actually dead? Where are they actually at? What's the whole point of this road? So it's a movie that asks questions all of the time, not only by what you see, but by what you hear from the four actors involved. Because predominantly the film itself is set in a car on this road. And so it needs to be held up by these four unknown actors as well. I've not seen them in anything before. They are phenomenal, these four actors, because it could be that you're stuck in the car with these actors and you might grate on them. But each one has a reason why they're friends with each other. Each one has a story, and you're so intrigued by their story. Like they all play off each other so well. The tension is there. There's a lull in the central section of the film, but it needs it because it enables it to have that build up with a couple of the stories from a couple of the characters. I was transfixed by it. It's just one of those movies where you're just constantly latched onto it from minute one. It's only on for about 75 minutes, so it's not a very long film. So as soon as because with me seeing it this year, it's in my list now. As soon as A24 announces a release date in cinemas, or if they drop it on another streaming platform, I cannot recommend this film enough. I only put it in the bottom end of my list. I think if I had watched it earlier, it probably would have been in my top five.
Right.
But yeah, it as a thriller and as that concept that you like, that pretty much set in one location kind of film, it is up there with some of the best. So I highly, highly recommend it. It ends. It's a very, 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 very good film.
Next one for me is Mike Flanagan's The Life of Chuck, based on the book by Stephen King. Stupidly hyped for this because she's read everything Stephen King's done as yet, and so when the news came out that they were going to do a movie, she was like, "Oh my god, they're going to do a movie of The Life of Chuck," and we sat down and watched it when it hit Blu-ray. I have the Blu-ray behind me, and it was as good as she hoped it would be. I wasn't sure when I started watching it. I'm like, this feels like really odd. What the heck's going on? But once I settled into it, I'm like, okay, I fully get it, and it's definitely my type of film. I love it. I thought it was awesome.
That's one of the films I've not actually seen. I've not seen that, and I've not seen F1.
Yeah.
F1.
Life of Chuck's one of those, when people online go, all the films are all the same nowadays, and you're like, well, watch that one, because that's not the same as most other films. And yet you look at the box office take of it and you go, nobody went to see it. What the hell? Just film world's weird.
Yeah, it was dumped in the UK. It was sort of like released about 3 months after it was released in the US. And it was just dumped in cinemas, and it only lasted in cinemas like a couple of weeks maximum. It's just like Silent Night, Deadly Night. That my cinema has only showed it for 1 week. So it's pretty much out of cinemas now. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a perfect example of one of those films that's in cinemas and then pretty much on streaming, because it's out on streaming next week. So it'll only been in cinemas 18 days. So, but yeah.
We know that trains people to go, oh, that's out of the cinema this week. I'll just wait and watch it next month when it hits streaming or video on demand or something.
Well, it's just because it did okay in its first week, then completely fell off a cliff in its second, and so that's the reason why they've gone and done it. They just look at it and go, well, we don't see the point of actually leaving it in cinemas any longer. So, but yeah, I'm not seeing Life of Chuck. Good. Moving on to number 6, movie you've already mentioned, Weapons. I loved Weapons. I loved its insanity. The last 10 minutes of it is completely batshit crazy, but it worked for me. The whole film itself worked for me, because it was one of those films where it's split into sections, and the way each section ends is one of those god damn it kind of ends to each section, because you want to know what happened next. But Craig has done that for a reason, because then in the last one he just ties them all together, and it probably would not have worked if it wasn't where Craig mapped it out smartly, which even he said when he was creating the idea of Weapons, he was constantly fighting with how he was going to meld them all together in his head. And that shows a sign of an intelligent director. But yeah, Weapons, I just loved it. Supposedly there's a prequel going to come for Weapons, which explains
It's like, do we need that? I mean, do we need a lot? Do we need a lot of films? No, we don't. So it's just one of those. You're like, well,
I don't think we'll get it, because I don't think Craig will actually want to do it. So we might get it, but by a different director, so then it probably won't work. But Craig doesn't want to do it, so he's obviously releasing a new Resident Evil film out in September next year. But yeah, Weapons really did click for me. It is that kind of horror film that works very well for me. So yeah, I loved Weapons.
Good. My next one is a film that you'd mentioned, Sinners. I did enjoy Sinners. There's one scene when it flashes through and backwards from history or whatever that, like, I don't know, I mean, that's a bit weird, but it didn't take me out of the film. I enjoyed it. I think it was around the time Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning was out, which I really wanted to watch, And then Sinners came out, and I'd heard all the buzz, people on podcasts and stuff going, Sinners is really good. Let's go watch something that I know virtually nothing about. And we did, and we enjoyed it. So it's
Yeah.
good. I can see the From Dusk Till Dawn comparisons, and there was a lot of those. But there's not that many films of that type that have been out in the past 30 years. So it was quite nice to see that sort of movie come out. But it's good.
And when you have Jack O'Connell in your film as a bad guy, you've chosen well,
Exactly.
because obviously
Yep.
he's the main
Jimmy.
bad guy
Yep.
he's a Jimmy in
He's
28
a
Years Later, The
Jimmy.
Bone Temple.
Yeah, which
And
is
for
confusing a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans are like,
yes,
what's with them? You're like, don't worry about it. If you're from the
and
UK, you will fully know what they are.
from what I heard in an interview with Nida Costa, and she says you have not seen anything yet. So I'm
Brilliant.
holding hope that this is an 18, which by the sounds of it, I think it is an 18 certificate, and that the violence in this is going to be very nasty.
Amazing. Yeah, bring
So
on the Jimmies. Yeah.
number five for me, One Battle After Another,
Yeah,
the Paul
I've
Thomas
been trying to
Anderson
watch
movie.
this. I've been trying to watch it, but I've just not managed to get to watch it.
Think it's out on digital very soon, I think. Um, but yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is not an actor for me who I really like. I know that you're probably going to somebody, yep, hated One Battle,
Oh, come on, Neil.
but
Come on, Neil. You know you loved
but
it.
that's fine. But DiCaprio is one of those actors where I'm not too fussed by. Same with Paul Thomas Anderson movies. I'm not too fussed
Yeah.
by, despite the fact that he has made some really good films. One Battle After Another, it's on for over 2.5 hours. And I can see why people would think that it is pretentious crap, because you can't actually see the pretentiousness of it. But for me, it actually worked. I just thought the acting on show was fantastic. I was just intrigued. I was gripped by it, especially again for a film that's well over the 2.5 hour mark. It wasn't one of those films that felt like it was a 2.5 hour film plus. It was a film that felt like it used its runtime brilliantly. And then it has a chase scene in it that you've never seen in a film before. And the way it's handled is just brilliant. You might get a tiny bit tired of it because it feels longer than it should be, but that's the reason why it's shot the way it is. So when you see the film and you see that scene itself, you'll understand. So, but for me, yeah, I thought One Battle After Another is very, very good. It's not the best drama of the year. That's still to come, because my top four are just, it's got nothing to do with comedy or animation or anything like that at all.
Neil's
But
off on one
yeah,
now with his rant about One Battle After the Other.
I've started something, haven't
You
I?
have, Neil will have to do a podcast about how much you hate that movie. I'm trying to catch
So
up on Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, and this year I've watched Phantom Thread, which I thought was fine, and Licorice Pizza, which I enjoyed as well. So I haven't seen The Master, I haven't seen One Battle After Another, and I'm sure there's like two more. But other than that, I've seen everything that Paul Thomas Anderson has done so far. So I'm close, but not
so
quite there yet.
what Neil has just said is, I love the director, but the film is weak and lacks courage. Weak nonsense where he's preaching his worldview. Show me if I ever get that pompous. Yeah, we'll tell you. Well, you know what? I'll definitely tell you.
Yeah, Stu will
No
tell you. I'll
chemistry
just be
between the
polite
two
and say it's
romantic
great.
leads. So he thinks that his favorite film from Paul Thomas Anderson is There Will Be Blood.
I'm not a
Yeah, I
huge
can
fan
see
of that
why.
one. I'm not a massive fan of that one. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I could go off on one about Daniel Day Lewis. He's a good actor, but it's just like he's very turn it up to 11 just to throw a Rob Reiner quote type thing in there. He's very much like, look at me. It's like, all right, come, just dial it down a bit, Daniel. So that was my issue with There Will Be Blood. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to watching One Battle After Another. Anyway.
Yep.
Next film is a British one. Yay! I Swear. Have you seen I Swear?
Not yet. That was
I
the other
love that
film that
movie.
I couldn't get to see.
We watched that earlier this month. Neil does actually respect your opinions too. We're often having chats about how
And
wonderfully entertaining he finds you.
while you quickly mention I Swear, I've got to quickly pop off for a second because I've got something on the cooker.
Oh, you go
So
do
you
that.
just mentioned I Swear.
We do not want
You
Stu's house
you
burning
could
down before
you
we
can look
find
at
out.
you can look at a pillow instead.
That works. That
but I'm
works.
still on mic.
But yes, I Swear, British film. It is based on a true story about a guy who called John Davidson, who suffered from or suffers from Tourette's syndrome. So the one where you do verbal tics and swearing and very inappropriate comments, a bit like when I'm on a podcast. And it's a wonderful mix of it's heart wrenching because it's based on a true guy's life, but there's also some really funny moments in it. And I'm guessing they are definitely meant to be comedic moments. There is a scene at the very beginning of the film which introduces you to the movie where the adult John is about to receive, I think it's an MBE from Queen Elizabeth, and he blurts out F the Queen very loud in front of the entire audience. So, as an audience member watching the movie, you're like, is it okay for me to laugh at that? Because it was kind of funny, but also, is it supposed to laugh at somebody's infliction? But I Swear is wonderful. I've seen a lot of praise for that movie flying around. It's very well deserved. Stu is back. The fire
I
in his
am.
house has now been averted. So that's good news.
Yeah, I'm cooking gammon, and so the way I do my gammon is I poach it for about an hour and a half. Slowly cook it with things like peppercorns and parsnips and carrots and onions in a broth, and then I let it cool down, and then I'll be honey mustard glazing it, and then I'm doing some wagyu beef dripping roast potatoes to go with it. So gammon, for people outside of the UK, is just a big piece of ham.
Yeah, it's usually quite thick, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So a lot of people make the mistake of cooking it solely in the oven. It's best to actually boil it or poach it in some water first, so you can actually break down the fat enzymes within it because it does have a lot of fat in it. But then it creates an absolutely gorgeous sort of like ham kind of broth to make a soup with as well. So two birds, one stone. So that's what I was cooking there.
Neil,
I had
next
it on
time
the
you're
stove for
over,
about 2 hours.
Neil, next time you're over, if you fancy some gammon steaks, we shall sort you out. So it depends what your
Yeah,
dietary requirements are at the time when you come over. But yep, I'm
I
all
know
for
I
it.
know how to cook, and so I do a good meat. So yeah, the gammon is just cooling down now, and then I'll do my honey, soy, and mustard glaze.
That will be Stu Miller's coming YouTube channel. Will be Stu's Talented Meat. So
Yeah, that's
you'll be
really dodgy. That
monetized within about 15 minutes. Won't you with that video?
yeah,
Won't be
just by that
okay.
name, I'll be demonetized instantly.
Just by
Um,
that. Your
so
turn.
next
What do you
up,
got? Yeah,
number 4 is warfare.
that's my number 3.
Yeah, yeah.
It
So
is. So
this
we
is
could just have a
perfectly
chat
leading
about
into.
warfare. Yeah.
Yeah, Warfare is now Alex Garland for me is one of those writers slash directors where you either get on with these films or you do not get on with these films at all. So Civil War, for example,
Great
or the
film.
one that a lot of people really do not get, Men,
Seen that one.
because of what
Yeah.
happens in the last 15, 20 minutes, the Roy Kinnear movie, where he plays like 9 different characters in the film. Men it's one of those films where you get to the last 20 minutes and you're thinking, where's the controversy with this movie? And then it happens very much like Brian using a Society. Like you get to the last 25 minutes of Society and oh my God, that completely goes
Yeah.
off kilt.
Yeah.
Um, Men does the same, and there is you think because it's a 15 certificate, and then it gets to the last 20 minutes, you go, how the hell is this a 15? This is like 18 territory what it explores, and it's a very weird film in the last. But my favorite film from him as a director is Annihilation. That film got
Which not
killed,
seen yet.
and
Yeah.
I loved Annihilation. It's on Netflix. If you want a science fiction film where there's a couple of little trippy elements to it, and probably I would say out of any horror film in the last 20 years, one of the most tense scenes that you'll have ever seen in a horror film. Watch Annihilation. Because prior to that, I think the last time I felt that tense was when I watched Wreck,
Yeah.
the Spanish film,
Yeah.
and then Mads last year. But yeah, Annihilation is brilliant. Watch that. But Warfare is when he is sort of like goes into proper human territory, just exploring a group of soldiers, a platoon of Navy SEALs, which is just sent to Iraq, and a dangerous. They need to try and survive. They're just locked inside this building and surrounded, and they just have to survive. And the whole, again, it's that one location movie
Yeah.
where the whole film itself completely hinges on how the actors portray the characters. Like, you have to believe that they are stuck, and you do. Like, everybody involved in this, you believe that they're actually in peril. They're in danger as to where they are. It's brilliantly shot. It's, again, one of those films where it doesn't oversteer its welcome. It fills its runtime perfectly. Yeah, it reminds me of watching films like Zero Dark 30 or The Hurt Locker or Jarhead, even, because I was a big fan of Jarhead, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. It's one of those films where it is that camaraderie between fellow soldiers. And so, yeah, I thought it was a fantastic film, Warfare.
Yep, loved it. As soon as I watched it, I'm like, this is in my top 10. It's earned a place. So we will flip a little bit because that's my number 3. Loved it. Good cast. Limited location again. You do a film well in a limited location, you get extra points from me. I love stuff like that. My
Yep.
next one is
So,
The Long Walk, the Francis Lawrence movie, another Stephen King one. My type of
yeah,
movie again. It's like very, very basic premise. It's like a bunch of kids or a bunch of young adults. You've got to walk. Don't stop. If you stop, you're out the game. Dystopian future. I mean, and I loved it. Really, really good. So
yeah, because Francis Lawrence is obviously going back to the Hunger Games because there's a new
he's
Hunger Games film coming out next year. So I liked The Long Walk. I didn't love it. I liked elements of it. I just felt at times there were parts of the film itself which felt a bit rushed. And
a
yeah,
bit
the film
rushed. That's good.
again.
I like that. I like that. That's funny.
Yeah, the film again. It's not a very long film, but in my opinion, there was elements of it which were padding. Like, it
Really?
didn't,
Okay.
yeah, it didn't fit the full runtime. I could see where he was going with the film itself.
Yeah.
It's uberly predictable because you're
I,
obviously going to guess that the ones at the front, the ones where the camera are more focused on, are going to be the ones that are going to be close to the end, if
yeah,
not
of
at the
course. Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And the bit in the bit it closer to the middle where he eradicates like a good 20 people just in the click of a finger was
Yeah.
too overly rushed. Like, it was even turn around to seeing that those people didn't even deserve to be there. So in that case there, what was the point of including them? Like, you're gonna set something where it's somebody chosen from each one of the 50 states to do this long walk. The survivor is the one who gets a wish and tons of money. Um, so you're going to have to give them at least a backstory to latch yourself on with them, whether it be a main character or a tertiary character. And having 50 of them might have been too many. And so the only way, obviously, for Francis Lawrence to get rid of them is to have that fast cut scene where he eradicates quite a few
Yeah.
of them in one go.
I thought
And
that was
that was
quite
a
clever though.
disservice to it. I
Because
didn't.
I mean that's from the book, so it's like
Yeah,
it's a very faithful. The ending to the book is different to the ending of the movie, but other than that, the film's pretty faithful. But you know from the early point where you're like, okay, at some point they've got to thin the herd because you're not going to get to the last 10 minutes of this film and it's going to be like 46 people still walking. And the way the sort of plot thing that they used in the book, obviously, to do it it's like that's a good way to do it, I think. But that's from the novel.
it,
So
it is a good way to do it, but did it need to be there in the first place? Again, I think you could have made it just a good enough film if you only had 20 characters on this long walk, and then you might have been able to
yeah,
explore more than just the main four
but then
or
you're
main
changing
five.
the fact that they wanted to do a faithful adaptation of the book. I get that
It,
film,
it,
film
it,
adaptations come out and sometimes they're like nothing like the book, and that's fine. But I think with this one, they wanted to certainly with Stephen King stuff this year. There's been a lot of good adaptation. I mean, The Running Man, love it or hate it, That's certainly more faithful to the book than the Schwarzenegger one, because the original, the '87 film was an Arnie movie, and it was tailored to be that. But
But
yeah,
yeah, not everybody knows that it is actually from a book.
no,
So I can understand when you're trying to make something faithful based on a book, but not everybody will have read the book. So
true.
you're making it faithful to something that nobody actually knows. And so when you do have that,
Yeah,
to me, it just felt like a tiny little bit of a cop out. And annoyingly, the orange faced one has supposedly come up with an idea where a male and a
Patriot
female
Games.
from
Yeah,
each one of the states, the
yeah.
Victor's Games or whatever he wants to call it. So,
The Patriot Games, he's calling it. Yeah,
yeah, Christ.
crazy.
Moving on to my number three, you've already mentioned this film. The best horror film in 2025 for me is Bring Her Back.
Yeah,
It is the most depressing film I've seen this year. Easily the most depressing film. One of the most depressing films I've seen in a very long time, but it's meant to be like that. But
hmm,
Sally Hawkins is brilliantly nasty in that
she
movie
is.
because
Yeah,
I like her as an actress and she can show what she can do going from somebody nice in the Paddington movies to somebody who is so nasty. And even in interviews with her, she went, the reason why she decided to do this film was because it's a character that she's never played before. Get out your comfort zone, and well done for actually doing that. And so I like this slightly better than Talk to Me, but I really like Talk to Me as well. So that's like damning with faint praise in a way, but it shows to
yeah.
me that the Philippou brothers they know what they're doing. They really do know what they're doing, but they've set the bar extremely high for
Talk to
whenever
Me
they release
felt.
the next one.
I love Talk to Me. I think I preferred that one. I think Talk to Me is more accessible to like everybody. Whereas Bring Her Back, not everybody's going to go, that was awesome, because it's really weird and dark and it's great.
And for me, if in a horror film you feature a scene where it makes any hardened horror fan flinch,
Yeah.
you've done your work definitely. And for a lot of horror fans, which I do follow a lot of them on TikTok, the specific scene in Talk to Me, in Bring Her Back made pretty much every horror fan flinch. And I've seen like nasty, nasty
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
and so it made me flinch. So that's my number three.
And then I think if you do your number two, because I've only got one left, and that's my number one.
So my number two film is the Ballad of Wallace Island,
Okay.
which you've had a British film with, I swear. My British film is the Ballad of Wallace Island. Um, I can't recommend it enough. It's one of those very comfort movies. It's such a simple film where it is just Tim Key. He's the writer and director of the movie. He's a comedian in real life as well. He's plays somebody who lives on this very deserted island. The only thing else on this island is a woman who owns a convenience store. Surprisingly, it has a convenience store, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a house on there, which he originally moved in with his wife, but his wife passed away, and so he's alone. And there's these musical artists who he absolutely adores. One of them played by Kerry Mulligan, and he invites both of them, who they split off from one another, to play a one last concert on the island just specifically for him, and he will pay them a lump sum of money. It's a sweet film. It's brilliantly acted. It's actually got comedy elements in it, which did make me laugh. But it is that comfort kind of movie that if you want a de-stressing kind of movie, like de-stressing, not
Yeah,
distressing.
yeah, not distressing.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, a movie that where you can just relax and
Yes.
just envelop yourself in a very comfort kind of movie. A lot of people would probably label it as like a Sunday afternoon film,
Mm-hmm.
but that's doing it a bit of a disservice. I can't recommend the Ballad of Wallace Island enough. The music is lovely, considering this is coming from a metalhead who loves screamy music and very loud music and aggressive music. There is some bands that I do like, which doesn't follow the aggressive tone, like Deerseeker and Floyer, but it is very nice, kind of. I wouldn't say angelic music, but very nice, easy listening kind of music.
Yeah.
It's just performances from everybody involved are brilliant. It's just a lovely, sweet British film. So I
I will check
honestly
it out.
recommend the Ballad of Wallace Island.
I will check it out. My very, very favorite film of the year is, I saw it at the cinema then last week, I rewatched it because I wanted to see if it was in fact still my favorite film of the year. Took me about 5 minutes into it. I'm like, yep, it's still my favorite film of the year, and it's Joseph Kosinski's F1. Yes, it's like a big budget version of Days of Thunder. Yes, it's a very basic storyline. Aging Brad Pitt joins a Formula One team. There's a cocky young driver who's like, why is this old guy here trying to take my spot? I'm the best driver in the world, not him. That's a very basic plot that we've seen a million times. But this film is stunning. It's got a great soundtrack. It's shot brilliantly by Joe Kosinski and all his F1 Neil. Yep, the sort of cinematography that was used in Top Gun Maverick, which was also a film I love. I know your thoughts on Top Gun Maverick, Steve. But I really, really like F1. You don't have to know anything about Formula One because I kind of don't, other than the fact it's fast cars and Lewis Hamilton's an F1 driver. That's probably my knowledge. The film is just as it gets you in there. It's very basic. Just watch it, enjoy it. Big bucket popcorn. 2 hours and like 40 minutes long, but it's awesome.
And it's another film I've not seen. I've not seen F1
Yeah.
or F1.
If you like your Top Gun, I mean, like that
Nope.
type of movie where it's an underdog movie and somebody's like, I'm going to win all these races and that type of thing, like a Rocky type movie, it's great.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Top Gun Maverick. I thought it was a good film, but nothing above 3 stars for me. But my favorite film of the year, and you can probably guess where it's going to because it was a film that I was talked about it on last month's podcast, and I absolutely raved about it. Train Dreams.
Yeah.
Train Dreams is my film of the year. Clint Bentley directed. Joel Edgerton stars in it too. Plays Robert Grenier, sorry, and it is just about his life as a logger from the early 1900s to around about 1950s. And it's you talking about cinematography with F1. Adolfo Valeso does the cinematography in Train Dreams, and the cinematography is some of the best I've ever seen in a film. Like, like full stop. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful film to look at, but a film can't just hang its hat on its cinematography. It needs to have depth with inside that cinematography as well for it to work. In this case here, it's a lot of it on Joel Edgerton's shoulders, and we've seen in the past how he can actually bring a character to life as a director and as an actor. And in this one, he just plays it so brilliantly well. Felicity Jones plays his wife for a little bit of the film itself. But again, it's one of those films that absolutely will guarantee to tug on your heartstrings. Like, again, I'll be honest, it did make me cry in the last 10 minutes of the movie itself. It's shot in 4:3, which again, it's a format that isn't used a lot, but for this kind of movie, it works so well. It feels like it's a film from an era that it doesn't belong to. It definitely feels like a movie that felt like it came out in the 50s, 60s, or 70s rather than a film that came out now. It got a very small release in cinemas and then was released on Netflix. But I cannot recommend Train Dreams enough because, like with the Ballad of Wallace Island, it's a good double bill of comfort films. Like, it's such a comfortably warm hug of a movie, and such a simple movie that it doesn't need to go beyond what it needs to tell. It has a simple premise following the life of this logger over about 50 years of his life between troubles, and that's it. And that's all you need it to be. You don't need any explosive action. You don't need any nastiness to happen in it. You don't need invasions or anything like that at all. You just need that simple premise of a movie, and that's exactly what Train Dreams is. It won't be on. I don't think I've seen anybody's top 10 list where Train Dreams is actually included, which is well, yeah. So I'm guessing I'm not the only one then, but yeah, Train Dreams. Yeah, Train Dreams is just a brilliantly phenomenal film, and I knew as soon as I watched it that it was going to be my number one.
It was on my list the moment you were talking about the cinematography in a previous show because I'd rewatched Barry Lyndon relatively recently.
Yeah.
We were having that conversation, and then you mentioned Train Dreams. So It is on my list. What are you
That
excited
is
about
my
coming out next year? Anything off the top of your head that you're like, oh, I don't even really know that many that are coming out next year, so I'm gonna have to do a bit of prep before we resume in January or
in
something. But
January. Yeah, well, I can't wait for the Bone Temple in January. Scream 7. I'm still going to see it, despite the fact that Melissa Barrera, etc., the ones from the previous Scream film, have been dropped. The directors of the original Scream film, they have gone. Kevin Williamson has written and directed this one. It's brought back Sydney Prescott. She's back in it as well. I really hope it doesn't fumble like the I Know What You Did Last Summer film. But yeah, Scream. Yeah, Terrifier 4, which is aiming for an October release. It was originally aiming for Valentine's Day, but it hasn't finished being shot. So Damien Leone needs more time. So that's out at the end of the year. I've already mentioned Robert Eggers' new film, Werewolf, which I can't wait for that.
Neil Johnson's The Time War. Hint, hint. Yeah, still waiting for
Maybe.
that one.
So that as well. Obviously, a lot of people are interested to see what the Odyssey is going to be like. Steven Spielberg's new film, which he dropped
Oh,
the trailer
really?
for it last
Yeah, yeah.
week,
I really want to watch that. I'm in.
which
Yeah.
feels like he is going back to the old days of Spielberg. So I'm hoping that will maybe push J.J. Abrams to actually come back and direct the film, very much in the lines of like Super 8, because I would love for him to explore that territory again, because I adore that film. I loved Super 8.
Yeah.
So there's that. I like to be surprised, so I like it when um, something comes out of absolutely nowhere, like Train Dreams. I didn't expect that film at all. Surprisingly, Pinocchio Unstrung, just
Yeah.
because they've actually found their way of actually creating those films. And out of all the studios that create those Twisted Children Nightmare movies, the studio that's creating the Pooniverse ones have actually found a way of doing them, because both Peter Pan Neverland Nightmares and the Bambi the Reckoning were actually very watchable, very good films. Both of them are on Prime. So I recommend both of those two. So Pinocchio Unstrung and the Pooniverse United movie, because that's out at the end of the year.
I've got a
So
few British indie films that are showing up on my radar. So there's Doctor Plague in January with Martin Kemp. There's Harbinger in like March, I think. There's Nightfall around April ish. There's a very clever title one called Jackie the Stripper, which is just like it's I don't want to say tongue in cheek because that sounds like I'm trying to make a joke, but it sounds like it's a fun film that's just enjoying itself. That's obviously I'm guessing there's like a Jack the Ripper type character in it, but there's that. But I like being surprised as well, where you go, oh, what's this film? You watch it and you go, actually, I enjoyed that. It's good. So,
yeah, they've got the new Street Fighter film and new Masters of the Universe movie. That's out in 2026. They've seen a screenshot of who's playing He-Man, so that might be watchable. Evil Dead Burn. Completely forgot
yes,
about Evil Dead Burn, which
definitely.
yeah, I can't wait for that.
I loved
Um,
Rise. Evil Dead Rise was amazing.
Hail Mary, the new Silent Hill
Yeah.
film.
Yep.
Silent Hill might actually be pretty decent. Iron Lung, I've already mentioned Iron Lung for gorehounds like myself, which I cannot wait for. We'll see if the new Exorcist film gets released next year.
Yep.
Going completely back to the beginning of it and starting it again. Disclosure Theory is obviously the new Spielberg film, so we'll see how that actually turns out. Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, The Bride,
Oh, yeah, that looks good. I saw a trailer for that last week, and that looks good. I'm
which I
interested.
can't wait to see that. As you can probably guess, I'm looking at a list here. Psycho Killer, which is a new horror film, which looks really good. Ready or Not 2. I think that trailer looks a hell of a lot of fun, which I really like the first Ready or Not. So
Yep.
we'll see how that turns out. There is, yeah, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. The trailer for that looks completely insane. So
Okay.
that should be really interesting as well. There is lots, supposedly, well, Resident Evil, but supposedly there is going to be a sequel to Cliffhanger next year as well.
People have been moaning that Stallone's not involved. It's like the guy's like mid-70s, for God's sake, give me a break. And then people are obviously going, why are they always rebooting everything? It's been 30 years since Cliffhanger. God's sake.
Exactly. So there is a lot to come.
Yeah, and then like you said, a few gems will just pop out of the woodwork that we'll watch, and then probably be talking about this time next year when we're doing this roundup again.
One other quick thing of note, just before we wrap up. I have done a list as well of my best and worst horror films of 2025, because obviously it's a genre that I know and love. I'll throw that list up on my Blue Sky, which is crypticstew.bsky.social.
Yes.
So I'll throw that up on my Blue Sky probably sometime during the week. Might be like a little Christmas Eve treat. I'll throw it up on Christmas Eve of the best and worst horror films, because there's some horror films I've not mentioned which are actually in my best list. And I'll give you one. One I've not mentioned: Dangerous Animals.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
part of my Shocktober thing. Yeah.
I really like Dangerous Animals, the Jai Courtney one, considering he's an actor who I cannot stand sometimes. But I thought he was actually he's found his niche.
He's moved up off that, oh, for God's sake, he's in it type list. And you're like, I might give it a go. Yeah, he was good.
And then there's my 10 worst horror films list, which some of them might actually crop up again that you've heard already, but some you've not heard of, which will actually go on that list. So I'll throw that list up on Christmas Eve.
Nice. My latest acquisition is check this out. We're like trying to reach around one hand. Look at that. Optimus Prime. It's huge. It weighs a ton.
Was he directed by Michael Bay?
No, I think this isn't a Michael Bay one. I can't quite work out which sort of.
It looks more like the. It looks more like the animated TV series or the animated film from the 80s.
So it took me about half an hour to build this thing out of the box, and within 30 moves you can change it into a truck. But the instructions are not great, so I can't quite work out how to change it into a truck yet. But at some point, I'm gonna do it. But it's very heavy.
Sounds like a challenge that within 30 moves you can change it, so somebody has to try and do it within like 20 moves or less.
It does, but then it's like, all these little things that you just, it obviously it transforms, but it looks pretty good on my shelf, but it's robust. So shout out to Hasbro for that one. But yeah, once I work out how to transform it, I'm going to do it a few times and then go, look, it's well easy to transform, but I'm kind of struggling so far because the instructions are a little bit vague.
Who says adults can't regress to being children again?
I don't think I ever regressed out of being a child. You've got to just sometimes be a kid.
Exactly.
What are you up to this afternoon then?
Cooking the food. So I've got the potatoes to prep for my Wagyu beef roasted potatoes. So I've got that to prep. Back at work tomorrow very early in the morning at 8 o'clock. So it's just chill for the rest of the day. Maybe play a little bit more Power Wash Simulator 2.
I'm playing the video game I'm playing at the minute. It's a mixture of Gran Turismo 7 and Stray, which I'm really enjoying. Stray. It's awesome. Yeah,
it's a very, very good game, Stray, which the company are making a sequel to, which I'll not tell you what they're doing that, but there was rumours of a film as well, an animated film.
Well, that would work.
From Stray. But yeah, I'm playing Power Wash Simulator 2 and Stellar Blade. Couldn't be two games different from each other. One's a hack and slash. One is you've just got to clean things.
Wow, but it's like you said, it's de-stressing, isn't it? And not distressing, but de-stressing, just clean stuff.
Yeah, because it's just a huge, massive truck that I'm currently cleaning at the moment. You've got to make sure every nook and cranny of it is clean. And so you just stick it on and you think, I'll play this for 10 minutes, and 2 hours later, you're still cleaning that truck.
Helps the brain. Right, Stu, thank you very much for the lengthy podcast. Great.
No problem.
Thank you to everybody who joined in the chat, especially you, Neil Johnson. Go back to editing the Time War because I want to watch that. And Stu, you and I will catch up in the new year. Obviously, we'll message each other in between then, but I will speak to you vocally in the new year. So enjoy your
2026.
Enjoy your Christmas meal and all that sort of shenanigans. Eat lots
Same
of
with yourself.
and just chill out.
Same with anybody else who's actually going to listen to the show or watch the show on YouTube, or anybody who's actually watched the show on YouTube since we've started to do it this way. It's just been nice getting positive feedback and messages, and the live chat. It harkens back to the old days of when I used to do my show live, getting messages, and it's lovely to actually just see interactions like that. Just leave messages, follow on YouTube,
subscribe, etc., etc.
Exactly.
It's much appreciated. We'll go and watch some other videos on my channel. I need to watch ours. Go pick a
Yeah.
playlist and just leave it running in the background. I don't mind.
There's a lot more videos without me in it, which might be a positive or a negative to some. So you watch other people.
Each co-host, so there's lots of podcasts on this channel, but each co-host has got a different coloured thumbnail now. So it's like,
Nice.
if people just want to watch the shows with you, then they can pick that colour thumbnail. Might be red, I think you've got, and then there's yellow and blues and greens and stuff like that. So
and just everybody has their own views, which is actually lovely to see and hear, because at least we're not robots. So
we are real. We're not artificial intelligence yet.
Right,
you enjoy, Stu, and I will chat to you
soon.
soon.
With yourself. Bye bye.
Take care.